Estelle was tired of her miserable life. It was happening again, her stepmother's hand striking her face. The woman seemed to enjoy every moment of hurting her, but behind that cruelty was jealousy. Jealousy that a girl she saw as a peasant could still look so beautiful in royal dresses. So, without hesitation, the queen tore the fine clothes off Estelle's body, leaving her in rags. Watching Estelle like that filled the queen with twisted joy. She laughed, determined to make the girl look worse than the filthiest rat in the palace. Estelle couldn't fight back. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but she could only pray for the torment to end soon. Thankfully, the beating didn't last long this time. When she returned to her room, she refused to cry. Crying wouldn't help, nor would it solve her problems. She needed to find a way to escape this cursed palace. The only thing she was thankful for was that she hadn't yet been sold off as a concubine to some faraway prince. The palace was her personal hell. But at least it was a hell she knew and had survived since childhood. Her life had never been easy. She lived with her cruel stepmother, Queen Ayla, a woman who hated her and wanted her dead. Then there was Ayla's wicked son, Ashalian, who loved mocking her. But the worst of them all was her own father, King Hastion, the man who turned away every time she was beaten. She had once begged him on her knees not to sell her off, but all he did was kick her away. From that day, Estelle made up her mind never to call him father again. Maybe it was because he never wanted her. Estelle was not a child born of love. The king had forced her mother to sleep with him, and that was how Estelle came into the world. Her mother was the only one who ever loved her and took care of her, until one day, she was gone. After her death, Estelle has been alone, trapped in a palace where no one saw her as family. But Estelle wasn't the kind to give up. She had a plan, a very dangerous one. She couldn't escape this hellish place by herself, but she knew of someone who could help. There is a legend in their empire. On the night of the full moon in the middle of winter, the ice palace where the mighty demon sleeps appears. Offering a rare and precious sacrifice to this demon will awaken it from its deep sleep, and it will grant any wish you have. But this wasn't just a rumor from the past. It was something everyone believed in, because once every year the ice castle actually appears in the sky. And that is where our female lead is heading. That is right, Estelle is on her way to awaken that great demon. She is amazed by how beautiful the palace looks. She doesn't know if the legend is real or not, but she has made up her mind to try it out. And so, our girl grabs the knife she brought with her and stabs herself. As her blood stained the snow, she cried out to the demon. She is here to wake him up, and in exchange, she is offering herself as a sacrifice. Her voice trembled with desperation as she begged him to appear, but no matter how much she pleaded, there was only silence. After a long while, our girl is discouraged. Maybe it was all just a dream, she thinks to herself. However, she suddenly notices something strange. It is supposed to be winter, right? So how come she can smell flowers? She looks around and sees everywhere suddenly covered with blue roses. Estelle is immediately scared as she doesn't know what is going on. Before she can move, someone suddenly grabs her from behind. It is a man she has never met before. Not only does he grab her, he even starts to lick the blood on her wound. The man seems really pleased by her taste. His blue eyes glow with delight. He even seems to know everything about her as he tells her she is indeed the most precious sacrifice in the empire. Not only is she from the imperial family, she is also from the desert tribes. Estelle isn't listening to what he is saying, though. She is in shock as she watches her wound immediately disappear. It was as if it had never been there. Only one being could have such power. And so our girl quickly says her wish. She wants to become the emperor. She wants to become strong so she can drag everyone who hurt her into the deepest, darkest part of hell. The demon is amused. He wants to know if she isn't afraid. After all, in exchange for this wish, he is going to take everything away from her. But Estelle isn't scared at all. She is already in hell. So what more does she have to fear? She tells the man to take everything, her body, her soul, all of it. The demon is pleased with this. His grin widens as he pulls her close. His cold breath brushes her neck before his fangs sink deep into her skin. As he drinks her blood, he whispers a deadly invitation against her ear. Welcome to hell, Estelle. The Harten Empire was once a great nation. Known as the land of snow and ice, the northern continent was ruled by it. But because it was known as a frozen land, it was too cold for enemies to bother attacking. With no threats to face, the royal family gradually grew lazy and corrupt. They soon lost all their former glory, becoming nothing more than a corrupt royal family. And into this fallen house, our female lead, the nameless princess, Estelle de Hartan, was born. Estelle is a bit confused when she wakes up the next morning. She has no idea what happened or how she got home. The last thing she remembers is being caught in a blizzard in the middle of the snowfield. She stands up, bright and ready to start her day. But the moment she opens her eyes, something shocking makes her rush straight to the window. Her heart skips a beat. This can't be real. The ice castle. Legend says it only appears once a year during the full moon. Like a dream, it shows up for just a short while before vanishing into thin air. So why can she still see it now, glowing against the snowy horizon? Then her gaze falls on the dagger lying nearby, still stained with her own blood. A cold chill runs through her as last night's memories begin to flood back. She remembers everything. The snowfield covered in blooming blue roses, their sweet scent wrapping around her like a spell, and that mysterious man with the piercing, icy blue eyes. His final words echo in her mind, welcoming her to hell. Estelle's breath catches. What in the world has she done? Before she can think any further, a sudden knock on the door startles her. The servants are here to dress her up. She lets them in, trying to steady her thoughts. But what happens next stuns her even more. Standing behind the three maids is a man she instantly recognizes. There's something both strange and familiar about him. Estelle's eyes widen as he walks toward her, his steps confident, his gaze locked on hers. He introduces himself as Satael, saying that from today onward, he has been assigned to serve as her personal attendant. Estelle feels her knees weaken. That silver hair, those icy blue eyes. It's him, the demon from the ice castle. Despair washes over her. So it wasn't a dream after all. She really did awaken the sleeping demon. And even worse, she somehow formed a contract with him. Still shaken, she tries to make sense of everything. Her cruel stepmother would never bring her a new servant. The woman takes pleasure in her misery. Yet the maids insist it's true. The princess lacked attendance, so a new one was chosen to serve her. Nothing about this makes sense. Since when would her stepmother ever care enough to give her more help? And besides, when has a princess ever been assigned a male servant as her personal attendant? It feels like a trick, an elaborate trap. But before Estelle can voice her suspicion, Satael catches her eye and smiles faintly. Raising a finger to his lips, he silently warns her not to say a word. So Estelle keeps quiet, forcing herself to stay calm while the maids dress her. Still, curiosity eats away at her. As soon as the servants leave, she spins around to face him. "What are you doing here?" she demands. "Why is the great demon of the ice castle pretending to be my servant?" Satael seems completely amused by her outburst. "Because," he says with a smirk, "there's nothing I can't do. And if I'm to help you achieve your wish, this is the perfect role for me." Before Estelle can respond, he moves fast. In one smooth motion, he grabs her and pushes her down onto the bed. She gasps in shock, struggling to get free, but his cold voice stops her. "Don't fight me." His eyes gleam dangerously. It seems he can't get enough of her scent, sweet and familiar like the roses from last night. Moments later, the tension softens just enough for them to sit together. Though, together hardly describes it. Estelle finds herself sitting stiffly on his lap, his arms locked around her, holding her still. The air feels heavy between them. Nervously, she asks if he truly means to help her make her wish come true. He nods, his tone suddenly calm and serious. "Yes," he says. "That's exactly what I plan to do. Step by step, I'll help you earn the glory that's rightfully yours." Then, leaning closer, his voice drops lower. "But," he adds, "there's another way. If you want your wish to be fulfilled immediately, I can make it happen." His icy eyes glint with dark amusement. "If you give the word, by tomorrow morning, the corpses of the remaining members of the imperial family will fill this palace." Estelle is shocked by Satael's suggestion. She hurriedly tells him that is not what she wants. No, what she wants is far more wicked. Not only does she want to sit on the throne, she wants to destroy all the people who made her suffer. When she finally becomes the emperor, she would do so with hands stained with the blood of those who tormented her. Hearing her words only makes Satael even more delighted. His icy blue eyes gleam with excitement as he promises her that from this moment on, he will do everything in his power to make her the empress. But before he can make her wish come true, she must first become his master. To seal this promise, he leans forward and presses a kiss against her chest, a gesture both shocking and strange, marking the beginning of their dangerous bond. Yet even as her heart races, Estelle cannot help but worry. What will happen after she becomes empress? What will happen once her wish has been fulfilled? When she finally dares to ask, Satael gives a slow, wicked smile. His voice turns dark as he tells her that once her dream comes true, their roles will reverse. He will become her master, and she will belong entirely to him. Her body, her blood, and even her pure soul will all be his to claim. While the two of them are wrapped up in their strange, fateful dance, the rest of the empire, and even the entire northern continent, is in chaos. The ice castle, which had never appeared under the sun before, now shines brightly in broad daylight. No one ever imagined they would witness such a thing in their lifetime. Wild rumors spread like wildfire. Some whisper that it's a warning that the end of the world is near. Others say it means an unusually harsh winter is coming. There are countless stories, but everyone agrees on one thing. The ice castle's appearance is definitely a bad sign. And unfortunately, they're not wrong. Inside the Grand Palace, the king and his ministers are struggling to think straight. The entire empire is in an uproar because of these rumors, and the ministers have gathered to beg the king to take action. The imperial family must make some kind of statement. Anything to calm the people down. King Haitian, however, looks completely exhausted. He rubs his temples in frustration. After so many years of peace, why did that cursed ice castle have to reappear now of all times? What kind of omen is this supposed to be? He has no idea what to do. Then, out of nowhere, one of his ministers stands and offers a bold suggestion. Instead of denying or explaining anything, the royal family should simply declare the ice castle a good sign. The king blinks in surprise and turns toward the speaker. It's Count Belvoir. The count calmly explains that if they proclaim the ice castle to be a symbol of blessing, all the frightening rumors will stop on their own. The other ministers quickly agree that it's a clever idea. Even King Hastion feels impressed and praises Count Belvoir for his wisdom. Without wasting time, he issues a royal decree. The ice castle shall be declared a good omen. Of course, not everyone in the the room feels comfortable with this decision. Some ministers can't help but whisper among themselves. After all, isn't that the place where the ice demon is said to live? Still, they have no better solution. And the meeting eventually comes to an end. The ministers gather in small groups, talking and complaining softly about what just happened. But there's one man who doesn't stay behind, Count Belvoir. He seems to be in a hurry, brushing off every attempt from others to stop him for a casual chat. He insists he has something urgent to do, and indeed he does. Or should we say, someone? The good count doesn't leave the palace at all. Instead, he slips quietly into a hidden room deep within the royal quarters. Inside, a beautiful woman waits for him. The moment she sees him, her eyes light up. She dismisses everyone else from the room and runs straight into his arms. The two share a long, passionate kiss. When they finally part, Count Belvoir looks down at her with a sly smile and says it's been far too long since they last met. After all, the woman before him isn't just anyone. She's the Empress herself, Ayla. Shocking, right? But what comes next is even worse. As they talk, the Count casually asks after Ashelon and calls him his son. That's right. The noble Empress has not only been cheating on the king, but the prince everyone believes to be the king's child is actually her lover's. Ayla has always thanked the heavens that Ashelon inherited her brown hair and brown eyes. If he had taken after his real father's bright red hair, their secret would have been exposed long ago. But this is also why Ayla despises Estelle so much. Her stepdaughter possesses the one thing her son can never have, those rare silver locks and pale green eyes, the true marks of the Harton royal bloodline. Just thinking about Estelle makes Ayla's mood turn sour. And when the Empress is angry, someone must pay the price. She snaps her fingers for her personal maid and orders her to bring Estelle at once. The girl needs to be disciplined properly. Meanwhile, poor Estelle has no idea that trouble is already heading her way. She's too busy arguing with Sadael again. She's completely against the idea of having him by her side. The thought of this mysterious man acting as her personal attendant makes her uncomfortable. "You can't stay here," she insists. It's improper for a man of unknown background to serve in the princess's palace. But Satael doesn't seem bothered in the slightest. He just smiles that same confident smile and tells her not to worry. Everything has already been arranged. No one will think it's strange. Before Estelle can argue further, a knock comes at the door. The queen's personal maid stands there, bowing deeply and inviting her to visit the queen. Satael's expression darkens as he takes Estelle's hand, his grip firm and cold. "Well then," he murmurs, his voice laced with dangerous amusement. "It's time, Estelle. Time for you to introduce me to the people you want dead." The room is very quiet. Estelle and Satael are meeting with the Empress. Estelle is surprised to see Count Belvoir in the room with them. With no idea of the queen's plan, she bends to greet the woman. But the queen isn't playing nice. She immediately starts mocking Estelle for bringing a man into the place. She calls our girl dirty names, swearing she is as shameless as her mother. Ayla isn't satisfied with just cursing Estelle and plans to mock Satael also. But when she sees his face, she finds him so handsome she can't say a word. Indeed, the greedy Empress starts thinking of ways to keep this man for herself. She has never wanted someone so badly before. "Excuse me, madam. Your lover is right by your side." Queen Ayla wants to know where this attendant came from and why he would be with such trash like Estelle. Estelle quickly explains the man is the new servant given to her. After staring at Satael and admiring him greedily, the queen asks them to leave. Back in her own room, Estelle is a bit relieved. This is the first time she is meeting the queen and nothing has been done to her, but she is a little bit annoyed, especially when she remembers how the queen looked at Satael. She immediately turns to the demon, asking if his plan is to seduce the queen. The demon doesn't deny it. If necessary, he is willing to use these dirty methods. Since he has promised to make Estelle the emperor, then he has to do everything possible to make it happen. Seeing the girl's worried face, he wants to know what is wrong. After all, she was the one who said killing them isn't enough. She wants them to be thrown into the deepest part of hell. Estelle tells him she doesn't care what he plans to do. However, since he is now her servant, he must obey her every instruction. Satael isn't bothered and calls her master. The title makes Estelle frown. She tells him to stop calling her that and to call her princess instead. Yet, deep down, doubts are starting to grow. This man, this demon, seems to take too much pleasure in everything. She can't figure him out. What is he really thinking? Since she can't read him, she decides to ask directly. "Why?" she demands. "Are you planning to seduce the queen?" Satael explains patiently. To make Estelle empress, she'll need powerful allies. But first, they have to weaken the queen's influence. The easiest way to do that is to break the bond between Ayla and Count Belvoir. Estelle shakes her head. "That's impossible," she says firmly. Everyone in the Empire knows that Count Belvoir is the queen's lover. Even the king knows, though he turns a blind eye. "You might be able to charm her," Estelle continues. "But there's no way Belvoir would betray her." But Satael doesn't seem discouraged. In fact, his smile widens. "Who said I'd be doing all the work?" he says smoothly. "You'll be helping me, princess. I want you to handle Count Belvoir." Estelle stares at him, shocked. "What? You want me to seduce the count?" Her face turns red. "That's impossible? I'm not even that attractive." Satael bursts out laughing, clearly amused by her misunderstanding. When He asks teasingly. Did I say anything about seduction? Realizing what she's just implied, Estelle turns even redder and stammers, trying to explain herself. The demon's tone softens a little. He tells her not to belittle herself. You are attractive, he says firmly. Attractive enough to wake a demon like me who's been asleep for centuries. Estelle quickly shakes her head, insisting it's only because she's a Devaris. But Satael corrects her immediately. Other Devaris have tried to wake him too, and none succeeded. Hearing that leaves Estelle speechless. Long ago, the Devaris were a rare and powerful tribe that lived in the desert lands. Their blood and flesh were said to heal any wound, no matter how deadly. But human greed ruined them. The Devaris royal palace was destroyed by invaders hungry for power, leaving only a few survivors. Estelle is one of the last. Her mother, Ileana, was the final princess of the Devaris line, captured during the war. Since childhood, Ileana had always told Estelle of her duty, to find the remaining members of their clan and reunite them. Her mother had warned her to never reveal her identity to anyone. Only those of Devaris blood must know who she really is. And yet, she has just told Satael the truth. But the demon doesn't care in the slightest. Her bloodline, her royal heritage, it means nothing to him. That realization stings. Estelle feels strangely hollow, yet oddly relieved. She laughs bitterly at herself, whispering that there's nothing special about her anyway. Nothing charming or beautiful at all. Satael frowns, clearly annoyed. You really don't understand your own worth, he says sharply. He suddenly stands, his eyes gleaming. Come with me. Before Estelle can even ask where, he grabs her hand, and in an instant the world blurs. They appear on the roof of the palace, the night wind brushing past them. Estelle gasps in awe. The moon feels so close, like she could reach out and touch it. Satael smirks. What a perfect way to impress a girl. He tells her they're going to Moonchad, the most luxurious tavern in the capital. It's not just a place for wine and music, it's a nest of spies and secrets, where nobles and merchants come to trade information. They arrive quickly, the streets glowing with lantern light. Satel's goal is simple, to dig up everything about Count Belvoir that could help Estelle in the future. She glances around, curious, and asks if he's been here before. Before he can answer, they're stopped at the entrance by the guards who demand to see their passes. Satael doesn't even flinch. With a lazy snap of his fingers, both guards freeze in place, motionless like statues. Estelle's eyes go wide with amazement. Satael laughs softly. Don't be so easily impressed, he teases. You'll have to get used to this. Soon enough, people bowing before you will become your everyday sight. They walk deeper inside and find themselves in a quiet room lined with books. Sitting before them is a small boy, staring at them in disbelief. His wide eyes dart from Satael to Estelle, and then he grins mischievously. The first thing he says, Estelle thinks with shock, is that I look so tasty. Back to a few minutes ago, before they met the strange child, Estelle had just heard Satael promising to make people bow before her, but all she can think of is if this is a game to him. This is a contract she sealed with her life, but it might just be a fun game to him. Satake, who has no idea what she is, asks her if she knows the owner of Moonchad. Estelle is a bit confused and says everybody does. Everyone knows the owner of Moonchad, the Marchioness Parcella. The woman became popular after the death of her husband. She is known as the most famous widow in high society because she squandered the money he left behind, using it to construct the Moonchad. It would be harder to find someone on the whole continent who hasn't heard about her. Estelle soon notices something wrong. The place Satael is taking her to looks very strange, and there is not a single person in sight. Satael laughs and tells her the woman was merely used as a tool to hide the truth. Estelle is shocked when she enters. The place is filled with books facing all kinds of directions. She is still busy looking around when a voice suddenly comes from behind her, calling her tasty. The child is almost drooling as he looks at her. While Estelle is still confused, Satek has started teasing the boy, asking if he is curious. The child says he is. Being curious is what makes him who he is. He wants to know and understand everything. He walks over to Estelle and immediately hugs her. He says she smells nice and asks Satael if he would be willing to share her with him. Satael immediately pushes away the naughty brat. The boy is annoyed and wonders why Satek brought the girl here, if he is willing to share her. He is also confused as to why Satael is awake. He must be planning some trouble. Satael tells him Estelle is his master, making the boy shocked. Why would the great demon help a human? Even worse, they even made a contract? The kid is shocked. He is even more shocked when Estelle takes off her cloak. He never knew she was the princess. Estelle smiles and introduces herself to him. The child immediately bowed in greeting. Estelle mentions the hook she saw him holding, and soon the two nerds begin to talk about books. After a long discussion, the child is even more pleased with her. However, he can't help but sniff her hair. She really smells so delicious. Looking at the child, Estelle finally confirms her suspicions. He is certainly not a human. The child laughs when he hears this. He tells her it was his fault since he made it too obvious from the start. Since that is the case, he can only show her his true form. The demon immediately starts changing and enlarging. Estelle is terrified and rushes back to Satael's side. They watch the demon change until he turns into a full-grown adult. Smiling at Estelle, he introduces himself once again. He is Roa, the true owner of Moonchad. Roa seems to be the mischievous kind, and he immediately checks up with a way for him to die. He suggests that Estelle leave Satael and form a contract with him instead. Before he can finish talking, he is already on the floor with blue roses tied around his body. Seeing Satael looking like he wants to do more?" Roa begs. He was just joking. Satael orders him to investigate Count Belvoir and also prepare dresses and accessories for Estelle. Done with talking, Satael takes Estelle away. Before she leaves, Roa promises her that the tavern will always welcome her. Back at home, Estelle is looking pale. Satael thinks it is because she has just experienced teleportation. After all, it isn't good for humans. Our female lead is worried about other things, though. After confirming that Roa is indeed the owner of Manchad, she begins to wonder why a demon like Roa would hide among humans, running a high-class bar that sells information. She asks Satael, and he tells her it is just a pastime Roa creates to ensure the boredom of immortality. Estelle wants to know why he is aiming at humans, and Satael tells her the truth. It is easier for them to harvest souls. Demons are always starving. They are almost like kings already. As for Satael, he is the oldest and strongest demon among them all. He praises Estelle. He never expected Ria to reveal his true form to her. That shows he trusts her. This is an achievement, but he also warns her to be careful. Roa is greedy and unpredictable. Estelle wants to know about him. Shouldn't she also be cautious around him too? Satael smiles when he hears this. Touching the hand she places in his own, he leans down and asks what she thinks about him. Estelle is bothered and wants to know if she should also be careful around Satael. However, he doesn't answer her questions directly, but instead leans down and kisses her. This is his way of telling her she is very attractive. Although the appearance of the ice castle at first caused chaos, as days passed and nothing seemed to happen, the whole northern continent soon forgot about it. It might also be because of the rumors that claimed that the ice castle was a sign of blessing and glory. Soon the ice castle became a symbol of the glory of the Hartan imperial family. Back in her room, Estelle is trying hard to read, but it's useless. No matter how many times she flips the page, her mind keeps going back to that kiss. She can't help but complain to herself. Why did she have to kiss that demon? He even gave her a chance to pull away, but she didn't. For some reason, she stayed, and the next thing she knew, they were sharing a deep, breath-stealing kiss. Now she just feels embarrassed. Satael probably did it just to show her that she was attractive enough to wake up a demon who'd slept for centuries. The worst part? After the kiss, he just walked away and went to sleep. Meanwhile, she's been restless ever since, unable to stop thinking about him. He, on the other hand, is calm as ever. It's so annoying she can't help but curse him under her breath. All she can think of is that demon. Ever since that day, he has been busy managing her palace and acting like a real servant. She has no idea what he did, but the previously lazy maids all started to work diligently again. Her palace, which has always been dirty and unkempt, gradually became clean and beautiful. And even better, her wicked stepmother hasn't looked for her in a long while. Normally, the queen would summon her over whenever she was bored just to humiliate and mock her. But lately, the woman has been unusually quiet. Estelle finds it very suspicious. She doesn't know what is wrong with her. On one hand, she is happy the queen isn't bothering her any longer. On the other hand, she can't stop worrying. She has her suspicions as to why the queen isn't bothering her any longer, and it all points to one reason: because of Satael. The queen didn't hide her desire for the man that day. And taking away a servant from a powerless princess like her is something very easy for the queen to do. Lost in her thoughts, Estelle doesn't notice the shadow creeping up behind her until it's too late. Suddenly, someone grabs her from behind. She gasps in shock, her heart pounding, until she realizes it's Satael. She wonders when he came in and gets nervous just looking at his serious face. Before she can say another word, he kneels down, takes her injured hand, and begins sucking the wound. Our girl is about to die of embarrassment. She tries to get the man to stop, but he doesn't listen. Only when he is satisfied does he let her go. Estelle quickly changes the subject and asks where he has been. Why does he suddenly disappear, and then show up days later? Satael explains he has things he needs to do. He tells her he went to meet Count Belvoir. As he speaks, he places a beautiful blue necklace around her neck. Estelle is stunned and wonders if it is a gift. However, she quickly denies it. It must be something relating to the Count. Just as she thought, this is a test. Satael is sure the Count will be interested in the necklace. He wants to use this to test the man. Estelle is feeling a bit scared now. She doesn't know how far a demon like Satael can go when he is bored. She is sure he would take whatever he wants without stopping to think of the consequences. He would do things in his own way, but she can't let that happen. She needs to find a way to keep him under control. She has to figure out what truly interests him before he decides to play another one of his dangerous games. The nobles are having a ball, but while everyone is having fun and dancing with their partners, Count Belvoir is feeling gloomy. He doesn't find anyone here interesting enough. Perhaps it is because he is restless, or perhaps it is simply because another woman has captured his heart. A little backstory about the cheating couple. Belvoir first met Queen Ayla when he had just come of age. Back then, he was deeply in love with another woman. They had grown up together. Their parents had even arranged their marriage before birth, and both believed they would spend their lives side by side. But fate was cruel. During a royal visit, the emperor saw Belvoir's lover and became became obsessed. Being the tyrant he was, he took her by force, ignoring the fact that she already had a fiancé. The shame and pain were too much for her to bear. One day, when Belvoir returned home, he found her lifeless. She had hanged herself. The young Belvoir was shattered, but his grief soon turned into anger. That was when Ayla appeared before him, promising revenge. She too wanted to hurt the Emperor for abandoning her and having a child with Estelle's mother. Their shared hatred brought them together, and they became lovers and partners in revenge. Their first plan was to ruin the royal bloodline. Belvoir did this by making his own son, Ashelon, the crown prince. But even after that, his anger didn't fade. He wanted more power, enough to crush the man who had destroyed his life. Over time, Belvoir rose in rank and influence. He had everything: wealth, authority, and the queen herself. Yet none of it felt satisfying anymore. Back to the present, Count Belvoir is done thinking about his sad past. His thoughts are all about the blue-eyed servant in the princess's palace. This man was a noble, and if he was so bold as to say, very beautiful, and ever since the queen saw him, she had not called for Belvoir once. The count is starting to get worried. He might have grown tired of the queen, but the appearance of that man makes him uneasy. Then something unexpected catches his eye. A woman wearing a familiar necklace. His heart skips a beat. That necklace belonged to his dead lover. He had spent months saving up to buy it for her, and she had treasured it dearly. Without thinking, he rushes to the girl and demands to know where she got it from. But the woman only turns to him calmly and says she came here for him. They move to the balcony for privacy. Belvoir assumes she's one of the countless women who wish to meet him. With a smirk, he offers her a deal. She can spend the night with him, but in return, she must tell him about the necklace. The woman only laughs softly. She asks if the necklace truly means that much to him. He admits that it does, and asks if she'll give it back. The woman finds this funny. He seems to think everything would go as he wishes. She wants to know if the necklace really means a lot to him. He says it does, and asks if she can return it. The woman refuses. Instead, she suggests a game. The rules are simple. He must guess who she is. He has only 3 chances and 3 clues. The winner gets whatever they want. The count doesn't really want to play, but the necklace is just too tempting. And so he agrees. The game begins. He fails the first round. On his second try, he wonders if she could be Princess Estelle, but quickly shakes his head. The princess and this mysterious woman feel very different. Then again, he has never actually spoken to Estelle before. He moves on to his last chance. But instead of giving him the final clue, the woman tells him she already knows what he wants. Amused, Belvoir asks her to say it. Her answer stuns him. She says he's after the throne. Shocked, Belvoir denies it. He is loyal to the queen. He has always considered himself a property of the Empress, so the thought of betraying her has never crossed his mind. The woman tells him to start thinking differently if he truly wants what he deserves. Before he can reply, she smiles and whispers that they'll meet again soon. In an instant, she vanishes from sight. Of course, she didn't really disappear. Her human-shaped teleportation device just took her away. The two arrive at an empty square. In the process of teleporting, the woman's mask falls off, and we see her face. It is indeed Princess Estelle. The once bold woman has gone back to being shy again. Estelle quietly asks if Satael had been watching her the whole time, and he admits he had. He was too worried to let her go alone. Estelle isn't pleased. She's sure he was watching her from the very start, so why did he leave her to handle the ballroom alone? It was her first time at such an event, and she had no idea what to do. Because of the queen, the only gatherings she ever attended were palace banquets. Even then, she was forced to dress like a servant, standing quietly in a corner while everyone ignored her. No one ever looked her way or spoke to her. She had always lived in the shadows. But tonight was different. After putting on the beautiful clothes and jewelry Satael gave her, she found herself standing in the center of the ballroom with countless eyes on her. Of course, she was scared at first, but as time passed, she began to enjoy it. No one knew she was Princess Estelle. She could finally act freely. She had grown up watching Belvoir become the Empress's favorite and rise to power, so she knew exactly what to say to provoke him. What she didn't expect was that this blue-eyed demon had been watching her all along. Now the two of them are alone. Estelle wonders why he brought her here. Did she do something wrong? Feeling timid again, she asks if she made a mistake. Satael tells her she didn't. She did even better than he hoped. Then he suddenly takes her face in his hands, smiling. He knows she must have enjoyed herself. Estelle finally understands. He had sent her alone so she could be brave, to face those who used to look down on her as their equal. He wanted her to see her own strength. The night isn't over yet. With a teasing smile, Satael offers to dance with her. As they move together, something stirs in Estelle's heart. His trust makes her feel something strange, something warm. As they dance, she complains softly that she hasn't danced in so long she's forgotten how. Satael just laughs and says he has too, so they'll remember together. Oh, my poor heart. The night feels magical. Estelle can't believe he's doing all this for her. But deep down, she's scared. What if he gets bored? What if he stops caring? She decides she must guard her heart. She must be more careful, more suspicious. But those thoughts vanish the moment he pulls her close. His touch makes her tremble as he suggests doing something even more fun. Estelle admits that whenever he acts like this, she feels strange inside. He promises she won't feel that way this time, that what comes next will be the best moment of her day. Then he takes off her necklace and kisses her. Estelle panics. This feeling is too strong. If she gives in, she'll lose control and become his completely. Refusing to let that happen, she pushes him away and insists they return to the ballroom. Satael only smiles and lets her go. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the palace, Queen Ayla wakes up screaming from a nightmare. Or was it a dream? Her heart races as she remembers it. She had dreamed of being with Satael, lost in passion, until she woke just before the climax. She doesn't understand why she craves him so much, especially since she doesn't even know his name. But she's determined not to give in to this desire. She's already tied to Belvoir. She bore his child and made him crown prince. She can't let all their plans fall apart now. She goes back to sleep without noticing that someone has entered her room, and it is the very man from her dream. Satael stands there, amused. Humans, he thinks, are simple creatures, so full of fire, yet they burn out so quickly, and he enjoys playing with those hidden desires within them. He was the reason for the queen's dream. Yet now, something else troubles him, something he can't explain. He despises this feeling because emotions are for weak humans. But ever since he met her, the girl who freed him from the endless cold and loneliness, his Princess Estelle, he has changed. He wants to treat her gently, to hold her without breaking her. As he looks at the necklace in his hand, he can only think of one thing. He hopes she won't push him away next time. Estelle is stuck. She wanted to find out more about Belvoir, but she is just too weak. The only things she could dig up are things everyone in the public knows already. After that ball, she knew she had to change. If she doesn't want Satael to keep dragging her around, she has to be more active. Estelle sat by her desk, staring at the list of nobles she'd written, hoping to find someone who might actually help her. She crossed out those loyal to the crown prince, but when she looked again, the page was almost empty. Useless. Just names and titles. Nothing truly helpful. She thought about buying more information from Moonchad, but the memory of what she'd seen that day still haunted her. A child turning into an adult in an instant? That wasn't normal. It was terrifying. Even thinking about it makes her scared again. While she's lost in thought, someone sneaks up behind her and pulls on the lacing of her dress. She gasps. It's Satael. He has that teasing smile again as he asks what she's thinking about. Estelle can't even look at him. Her face is completely red. Ever since Satael showed up, he's handled everything for her. Her clothes, her jewelry, even her hair. Honestly, he's better than any maid in the palace. Girls, please, where can we get a man like that? Curious, Estelle asks if there's anything he can't do. Satael just smiles and says there probably isn't. After all, when you've lived for eternity, you pick up a lot of skills. Immortality leaves plenty of time for hobbies. Then, out of nowhere, he gently rubs her earlobe, making her blush again. She tries to change the subject, asking if that's why Roa turns into a child. Satael explains it is for survival. Roa is weaker, so staying in an adult form drains too much energy. Estelle rolls her eyes. Of course, he'd find a way to brag about his own power. But when she catches herself smiling at him, she nearly faints. Why is she even thinking about this demon like that? Suddenly, Satael glances toward the door. The queen's head maid is here, he says. And just like that, there's a knock. The maid calls out, saying the queen wants to see them in the palace garden. Estelle freezes. The queen? After all this silence, she immediately becomes afraid. She rushes to change clothes, afraid the queen will rip her dress apart again. But Satael stops her. No one will dare touch you, he says firmly. Not while I'm here. Then he leans in and kisses her forehead. His voice softens. Nothing will happen to you, Estelle. I promise. Together, they head to the garden. But when Estelle arrives, her heart drops. It's not the queen waiting there. It's the crown prince, Ashelon. Before she can even sit, he scolds her for being late, saying the tea's already gone cold. Only after she bows does he allow her to sit and even pulls the chair for her. Estelle is so nervous she is trembling. He smiles and says he's missed seeing her lately. Estelle stays silent, saying she thought it was the queen who wanted to see her. Ashelon laughs, admitting he used his mother's name because she wouldn't come otherwise. He says there's nothing to fear. He just wanted to see her. But Estelle feels uneasy. This man, her half-brother, was born months after her, yet lived a completely different life. As the beloved son of the emperor and empress, he had everything, while she, the daughter of a slave, had nothing. He'd always treated her like a toy. Once, when his favorite horse died, he used her as a replacement, whipping her for weeks. Those scars never really faded. And now, this same man was smiling at her like they were family again? No way. But Ashelon's attention turns to the man who has been standing behind the princess all this while. Satael. Ah, so this is your new servant, he sneers. Rumors about him are spreading fast. Estelle quickly says he's just a servant, but Ashelon laughs. He mocks her for playing with servants now and calls her a lowborn. It makes sense. After all, she is a child of a slave, so it's only normal for her to mix with her fellow slaves. Then he mentions her mother, Ileana, mocking her for bewitching the emperor. He tells Estelle she is just a seductress like her mother. Indeed, he now understands his father's desire for the desert slave, because right now he feels the same way for Estelle. What a sick weirdo. Estelle feels sick, but Ashelon keeps going on, talking about how the warmth won't last. that soon the cold will return, strong enough to freeze the entire continent. He asks Estelle how she thinks they can survive such biting cold. Estelle quietly says they can only avoid it. The weirdo laughs and says they only need to lie low and pretend to be dead. Only then can they avoid it. Then, leaning closer, he tells Estelle always to remember he is here for her in case she can't take the cold any longer. Estelle has had enough. She stands and excuses herself. But before she can take a few steps, Ashelon stops her and asks who gave her permission to leave. He suddenly picks up his teacup and pours the tea over his own shoes. Frowning, he pretends to be annoyed at seeing his shoes dirty. Then he suddenly looks straight at Estelle, smirking. Does he really expect her to kneel and clean it? Someone, please, male lead, do something. Ashelon looks down at his stained shoes, smirking coldly. He suddenly tells our girl to get down on her knees and lick the stain off his shoes. Estelle freezes and her heart sinks. It's happening again. Just like always, no one will step in for her. No one ever does. And like before, she'll have no choice but to kneel before him. Humiliated, despair fills her chest as she slowly gets down on her knees. But before she can even move, everything suddenly freezes. It seems like time has suddenly stopped. Estelle's eyes widen in shock. She can't move. She can't even control her own body. It's like she's trapped inside herself, watching everything from a distance. Then a familiar voice cuts through the silence and scolds her sharply. It's Satael, and he mocks her for being so quick to kneel. He stands behind her, clearly displeased. He reaches out, pulling her back to her feet quickly. Before Estelle can even thank him, his next words make her shiver in fear. This man just calmly asks her if he should kill everyone involved in today's incident. Satael's eyes darken. His tone smooth but dangerous. He promises her he can get rid of everyone she doesn't want to see. All she has to do is just say the word, and then wait until she is able to sit on the throne. For a moment, Estelle is tempted. So tempted. It could all be so easy. With just one nod, all her pain, all her humiliation would vanish. She could finally be free. But deep inside, she knows that's not what she truly wants. Revenge isn't supposed to be easy. She has always hated the royal family, their cruelty, their arrogance, and their sins. They destroyed her and her mother, leaving scars that will never heal. Yet, no matter how much she despises them, she can't deny one thing. She is also half Hartan. That night, she offered herself as a sacrifice to the demon. She made a promise. She would become colder, stronger, and more ruthless than any of them. If she was going to carry the Hartan name, she would make sure it was feared, not pitied. So, Estelle shakes her head. She refuses Satael's offer. No, she tells him. She really doesn't want everything to end as simply as that. Satael looks at her in surprise, then bursts into laughter. It is obvious he is amused by what he sees. He takes her hand, presses a gentle kiss against it, and promises with a smile to always listen to her wish. She is his lady, so he will have to listen to her. After all, he is her loyal servant. With that, everything starts moving again. But this time Ashelon is coughing, and it is blood. The servants are alarmed and immediately rush to his side. Watching this, Satael is calm. He even asks Estelle if she would like a little fun like this. Far from the chaos of the palace, a luxurious carriage stops outside a grand building. A woman steps out from the carriage. It is Marchioness Parcilia, the powerful owner of Moonchad. She pulls off her gloves, revealing a shocking spider tattoo on her hand. It doesn't seem to shock her attendant, though. He seems used to it as he starts reporting the business matters to her. It turns out the crown prince became very sick after that day. As such, the imperial family has ordered Moonchad to find a cure for his strange illness. Parcilia finds this quite troublesome. After reading the letter, she is clearly annoyed as she hands it back to the assistant. She simply says she will deal with it later. Right now, she has something else on her mind. Well, someone actually. Her favorite little demon boy, Roa. When she finds him still looking like a child, she bursts into a teasing smile. She calls him her cute little Roa and even pretends not to see him. She starts to look around, wondering where that tiny boy is hiding. Roa is disgusted watching her act. He frowns immediately and tells her if she keeps calling him short and cute, he is going to start telling everyone she ate her husband. Parcilia isn't bothered and even laughs. She can't be bothered to argue with the little boy. After all, he wouldn't be lying, would he? Wait, what? Girl, you actually ate your husband? Parcilia licks her lips as if remembering the sweet taste. She even hums, making a demon like Roa feel afraid for a second. But teasing Roa isn't the reason why she came here, and she quickly gets back to business. She wants to know if the rumors about Satael coming down from the ice castle are true. Roa nods, and Parcilia's eyes go wide. She can't believe it. Why? What's going on with that floating ice castle of his? The entire empire's gone mad because of it. Roa calmly tells her to ask him one question at a time. Parcilia isn't having any of that nonsense. She glares at him and says he doesn't care. Because of that damn castle, everything is collapsing. The nobles are hiding in their homes, trade routes are blocked, and her business has not been moving smoothly. Roa sighs and agrees to explain. He tells her to prepare herself so the truth won't shock her too much. Parcilia proudly says nothing can shock her. Well, except he is about to tell her Satael got himself a human contractor. Roa looks at her seriously and says she is correct. That is exactly what happened. Parcilia waits for him to laugh. to say he's joking, but he doesn't. Her eyes widen in disbelief. How can that even be possible? Roa says it is true, and the contractor is none other than Princess Estelle. Parcilia stares for a moment before letting out a loud, disbelieving laugh. She calls Estelle a desert girl and is surprised someone like her could make a contract with Satael. She is surprised, though, when Roa's expression turns sharp. He defends the princess strongly. Parcilia finds his behavior strange, but he refuses to say more. So, she changes the topic. She tells Roa Moon Chad just received a new request from the palace today to find a cure for the crown prince's illness. Parcilia knows the prince has always been weak, but this time it's different. He's coughing blood and freezing even in warm rooms. It's like there's a block of ice inside his body. She leans closer and tells Roa she is sure it has something to do with Satael. No doctor on the continent will be able to cure the crown prince now. Good riddance. Parcilia shakes her head in amazement. She doesn't understand what on earth the princess has to make the Ice Lord himself leave his castle for her. He's even turning the empire upside down for her sake. And even Roa is not spared. He is also on the princess's side. Roa grins and reveals why he likes the princess. Because she looks very appetizing. They have all tasted royal blood before. Even the nobles have not been spared. But aside from being sweet, that was all there was. But Estelle is different. She has a very different scent. She smells like a Deveris, but slightly different from an ordinary one. What Roa wanted the most was to drink her blood the first time he saw her. Roa tells Parcilia he is sure she would like the princess when she sees her. Parcilia isn't willing to like a human. Someone suddenly interrupts their conversation, agreeing with Parcilia. Parcilia and Roa both spin around. Satael is standing right there, his presence freezing the air. His blue eyes narrow as he says quietly, he doesn't want any more competition. Satael gives his fellow demons a stern warning. He doesn't want them to be attracted to Estelle. Just the thought of having more competitors is already getting him angry. Parcilis is shocked to see him. She quickly bows and asks why he is here. Satael is here, of course, to help his little master. He wants Parcilia to be in charge of her and bring her into the social world. The whole capital is in chaos. A letter was sent out throughout the whole empire offering a great reward to anyone who could treat the crown prince. Ashelon's condition had become quite serious to the point that even Hastion, who never showed much concern for his crown prince, was getting worried and seriously trying to find a cure for his son. Since the crown prince was yet to rise from his sickbed, the line of succession seemed to be changing. And all of these came from just one of Satael's casual games. The result of his game was so strong that it caused a strong effect in the whole imperial palace. And Estelle had watched it all happen over the past few days. Estelle knew the kindness Satael showed her was just fleeting, something that would soon fade away. But she just wanted to believe it would be eternal. She is busy thinking when a maid suddenly appears and says there is a letter for her. Estelle is shocked as the princess's palace never gets any letters. The maid says it is from the Marchioness Parcilia. Estelle is even more surprised. Why would the owner of Moonchad, a wealthy widow, want to see her? The Marchioness was known as the Queen of High Society. Everyone in the social world wanted to befriend her, even if it cost them a fortune. Why would such a famous figure send her a letter? And even more, a formal invitation to Moonchad? Estelle asks the maid to leave. Alone in her room, she has made up her mind to attend. It might be suspicious, but she has no reason to refuse. In fact, given her need for noble connections, this is a perfect opportunity. The next day, Estelle is all ready to meet the Marchioness. However, she is shocked when she sees the carriage the woman sent. Why is it so extravagant? It is like the Marchioness can't wait to tell everyone that Estelle is visiting her. Estelle isn't going alone, of course. Her loyal attendant must go with her. After getting into the carriage the woman sent for her, she watches Satael. He is just too calm. It seems like everything is happening according to his will. She understands why he is doing this, though. She has been overlooked by people for a long time. No one ever considered her as someone who might ascend the throne. Even now, with Ashelon being bedridden and everyone wondering who will succeed the throne, everyone's focus is on the distant relatives of the emperor. No one has even thought of her. What she needs now is something that can bring the attention of the public to her. Satael seems to understand this as he suddenly tells her they will use Marchioness Parcilia to dominate the social world first. It seems for now their strategy is to build connections in social circles. That is certainly the fastest way for her to gain attention. She is curious to know, though, when will Satael stop these games? Satael wants to know if she is worried about the crown prince. Estelle hurriedly says she is not. Satael asks if she enjoys being tormented then. He suddenly leans over and suggests he torment her a little more. Estelle quickly turns red in the face because of how close he is. She rushes to tell him that isn't what she meant. Satael doesn't say anything. He just tells her they have arrived. Stepping out of the carriage, Estelle is stunned to see the Marchioness waiting outside for her. They are welcomed with a bow. Estelle is amazed to see the powerful Marchioness up close. She had only seen her from afar at banquets before. The woman escorts them inside. Inside the room, Parcilia pours some tea for the two of them. Estelle, however, seems to discover something as she directly asks the Marchioness if she is even human. Parcilia isn't flustered and even laughs at how quickly Estelle figured it out. She wants to know how. Our girl tells her as someone well-versed in social etiquette, there is no way she would serve tea first to a servant. Wit! Her first cup was for Satael. Parcilia isn't worried about being found out. She even suggests Estelle calls her Vianne from now on. Estelle tries to call her Madam, but the poor woman almost faints. How dare she make her lord's contractor call her madam? Looking at Estelle, Vianne finds her very cute. She is just too adorable and delicious. Satael immediately warns Vianne to control herself and not to do anything unnecessary. Parcilia promises not to, and Satael leaves them alone. He has some matters to take care of, so he tells Estelle to spend time with Vianne. As soon as he leaves, Parcilia stands up and asks Estelle to follow her. Parcilia leads Estelle to what appears to be a wall, but when she places her hands on it, a door suddenly appears. Estelle is shocked to see this, but she is even more amazed when the door opens and she sees the inside of the room. It is stunning and filled with all sorts of beautiful dresses. Estelle expresses she has never seen anything like this before. It is really amazing. Vianne is pleased to see that she likes it. After all, she made this room specially for Estelle, so if she doesn't like it, it is going to be a problem. Estelle is shocked, so Parcilia repeats herself. All these beautiful dresses are all for Estelle. Our girl is shocked and disbelieving. How could that be? How could all these pretty dresses be hers? Parcilia hugs her and tells her she even personally made some of those clothes herself using very special materials. Hearing this makes Estelle remember the famous stories about the Marchioness. It is said that she was a daughter from a humble family, but through her stunning beauty, she was able to become the Marchioness Parcilia. Their marriage, which managed to overcome social status, was praised by everyone as a romantic tale. Unfortunately, their marriage didn't last long as her husband died just a year after their wedding due to some unknown illness. What was even more strange was that the nobles who attended the funeral were more focused on the beautiful dress worn by the Marchioness than the dead Marquis himself. The nobles were all desperate to find out where she got such exquisite silk from. The Marchioness, however, just told them it was a gift from God. Soon all the nobles who approached her got some silk gloves or dresses and soon became her devoted followers. And that was how she became the queen of social circles. Till this day, no one knows where the unique silk used by the Marchioness comes from, and it still remains a great mystery. People soon started calling it Parcilia's silk. Estelle wants to know if that was what was used to make her dress. Vianne says it is. She finds the name the humans have given to it very funny. She wants to know if Estelle is also curious to know what the secret of the social material is. Estelle would be lying if she said she wasn't curious, but she didn't think it wise to learn the secrets of a demon. Before she can ask, someone suddenly appears next to her. Estelle is almost scared silly. The culprit Roa doesn't seem affected and simply says it is spider silk. He hurriedly apologizes for scaring Estelle and hugs her leg, trying to comfort her. Vianna doesn't hide it anymore and reveals the clothes were indeed made from her spider silk. She tells Estelle this isn't her real form. She just adopted this look to blend in with humans. As soon as she takes off her gloves, the form of a giant spider immediately appears behind her. This is Vianne's real form. Estelle immediately starts sweating in fear. However, while one person is afraid, the others fall more in love. Vianna can't get over how adorable Estelle looks. Even Roa is pleased with her scared face. Looking at the two mocking her, Estelle scolds them in her mind, calling them wicked demons. Vianna explains to Estelle that it is hard for them to maintain a human form all the time, so sometimes they revert to something closer to their true form. She spins the silk when she is in her spider form and uses it to make fabric. Roa doesn't forget to praise himself too. He tells Estelle that being able to maintain a human form like his own is proof of strength, but to maintain an adult form requires a lot of energy, which is why he usually stays in the form of a child. Estelle's mind immediately goes to Satael, who is always in his adult form. Vianna tells her Satael is very special. All the north and ice in the north all came from him. Estelle is surprised to hear that. It sounds similar to the story about the founding of the Hartan Empire. The first emperor was said to have offered his soul to the god of ice and snow in order to create a land in the northern continent where humans could live. Estelle is more worried now as this means Satael is more dangerous than she imagined. Suddenly something is thrown over her face. Before she can react, Vianne rushes over with some clothes. She is eager for Estelle to try them on and is even imagining how they would look on her. Estelle is frightened by Vianne's excitement. Suddenly, the woman stops and says she needs to step out for a moment. Estelle is surprised, but Vianne promises to be back soon and asks Estelle to wait here. She tells Roa to take care of the princess. Roa tells Estelle it would be hard for him to assist her in his current form. Estelle knows what is about to happen and closes her eyes. She only opens them when Roa has changed into an adult form. He apologizes for scaring her, but it makes Estelle even more nervous. She feels nothing when Roa is in his childlike state, but when he changes into his adult form, she feels so scared. All she wants to do is run away, but she can't. She needs the information Roa possesses since he is the master of Moonchad. Estelle is busy changing when Roa suddenly asks why she has chosen Hell. Estelle says it is because she wants to claim the throne. Roa calls it unfortunate and tells her it would have been better if she had chosen him. Satael won't act according to her wishes no matter what she wants. Estelle tells him she knows, but she also doesn't plan on being Satael's puppet either, and that is why she needs information from Moonchad. Roa says he can give her all the information she needs, but first she has to give him something in exchange. Estelle understands what he means and tells him she is just a poor princess with nothing to offer, but she knows Roa is interested in her blood and she is ready to give him. Hearing this makes Roa very pleased. He blushes excitedly and grabs her hand, promising to make it painless. Without waiting, he immediately sinks his teeth into her flesh. Estelle reminds him to look into all the capable individuals who would be worth bringing into her faction. regardless of their status or origin. Roa is like a kid high on sugar. He wants Estelle to ask him for more, anything at all. It doesn't even have to be information. Anything she desires, and he would do it. He suddenly grabs her waist and tells her he wishes she were greedier. That way, he would be able to drink to his heart's content. The two are done with their exchange. Roa promises to prepare a list of all those who would satisfy Estelle as soon as possible and send it to her. At the end of the day, Satael and Vianne did not return. Estelle could only return to the Imperial Palace alone. She doesn't find Satael's disappearance strange after all. He always does that, but Vianne looked so irritated when she left. She wonders who the woman could have gone to meet, a guest that the Marchioness would not dare ignore. That means it must be a member of the imperial family who showed up. She guesses it must be the queen. No matter how many famous doctors they called, Ashelon's condition wouldn't improve. Estelle is sure the queen must have come to Moonchad to look for a cure and annoyed Vianne in the process, but she knows there would be no results. It is, after all, not a disease humans can cure. Estelle feels a bit regretful. She actually wanted to thank Satael for today. She knows who is behind the dressing room that Vianne gifted her. Whatever the intention behind the gift, she still wants to thank Satael for it. The person she is thinking about suddenly appears before her. He seems pleased to see her waiting for him and gently kisses her forehead. She tells him she just wanted to thank him, but when she raises her head, the smell of blood on him is so strong, it seems like he killed a beast. While Estelle is still confused, Satael suddenly asks her how someone who steals from others should be punished. Estelle has no idea what he is talking about, but she still replies to him. She says the punishment depends on how serious the crime is. Satael suddenly grabs her wrist and tells her that since she touched something belonging to him, she would also have to be punished. Estelle feels this is all just a ridiculous misunderstanding. The possession he is talking about is her. She refuses and tells him she isn't yet his possession. She hasn't taken the throne, so he can't claim any rights yet. For Satael, that does not matter. At the end of it all, Estelle needs him. Our girl is disappointed. So this is the real nature of their relationship. From the start, to him, she wasn't someone with her own will, but just a puppet he could play with. And even though she knew this relationship would lead to ruin, she still trusted him, hoping that one day they might share an emotional connection. Satael demands to know why she did that, and she says it is because she needed to pay to get the information. Satael tells her she paid far too much and begs her not to do it again. Estelle says she knew it was dangerous, but she thought that Roa wouldn't act recklessly because of fear. After all, Satael is way stronger than him. She doesn't continue because at the end of it all, she is just Satael's contractor and possession. She tells him to punish her in any way he wants. Satael suddenly steps closer to her, stunning her. He asks her if he has ever mistreated her. He has always given her the finest things. Seeing the expression on his face, Estelle is shocked. He suddenly leans down to kiss her. She tries to stop him, but he doesn't listen. He only stops when they are both out of breath, and that is only so he can place her on the desk. Staring down at her, he tells her he might have to treat her a little harshly today. He suddenly starts to pleasure her while Estelle enjoys the feeling. After a round of pleasure, Estelle is thoroughly spent. She has fallen asleep, and Satael places her in bed. Looking at her tired face, he steps out of the room. Because of him, it seems there might be heavy snow for a while. While our two leads are busy cultivating feelings, Marchioness Parcilia is having a meltdown. Her perfect dressing room has been destroyed. All the precious collections she gathered for the princess are stained with blood. After she sent away the Empress, who was throwing tantrums about finding a cure for her son, she came back to the room after tidying up only to find this mess. And she never got to see the cute princess in her new dress. Vianne is very angry. She immediately starts kicking the culprit, the half-dead Roa, who is lying bleeding among a mess of clothes. She is sure it is his fault. He must have touched the princess. Roa doesn't deny it and admits he did. Vianna is stunned and tells him he must have gone mad. Roa says Satael was at least merciful since he didn't kill him. Vianne laughs at the ignorant demon. The Lord only spared his life because he needs him to make the princess the emperor. It is a miracle that Satael didn't just cut his head off. Vianna ignores the bleeding man and starts to think, just how tempting is Estelle for Roa to touch her even though he knew trouble would follow. He even overcame his fear of Satael just because of her. She is also curious about the taste of the princess. Roa tells her it was amazing. He is still licking his lips while remembering her taste. Vianne warns him to stop. If he keeps this up, he will really end up dead. He shouldn't have any more strange thoughts about the princess. Roa promises he wouldn't, but Vianne knows he is lying. Inside, she feels a little excited. Thanks to the princess, her formerly boring eternal life is starting to look interesting, but it is also very risky. Once they have tasted the princess's blood, there might be no going back for them. Estelle has no idea the demons are now longing for her blood. She has just received the list Roa promised her, and boy, did he not lie? He has helped her gather everyone's weakness into one list. Everything about the nobles, secret lovers, secret children, hidden crimes. Everything about the highest noble to the lowest lord was in that list. But while Estelle might have asked for it, right now she is just tired. She has been reading for so long, her head and eyes are beginning to ache. She decides to abandon the book and her mind goes straight to Sadal, just like he promised her, snow has been pouring without stopping and everywhere has gotten colder. But nothing is as cold as her heart. She might not look like it, but Estelle is in despair. How can she not be? That crazy man might have made her feel glorious, but he didn't forget to remind her that everything she has achieved is only possible because she belongs to him. She can't forget how he treated her like a toy, and all the disgraceful, sensual acts he forced her to do last night. But Estelle is tired of it. She doesn't want to live this way anymore. She has made up her mind. She will use this list Roa has given her to her advantage. All she needs to do is select her targets, and then she will no longer be a victim in Sadal's game. Maybe her thoughts summoned the man because she suddenly hears his voice behind her. Turning around, it is indeed him. She is a bit annoyed. While she is busy worrying, the man who committed all those acts and disappeared after doesn't seem to be. He acts like nothing ever happened. The despair in Estelle just grows deeper. She truly must have been nothing to him then. But Estelle can't understand her emotions. Anybody who is treated like this would be angry. But why is she relieved? Maybe it is because he is the only person she can talk to. He actually understands her. Before she met him, her days had been lonely. Back then, she could endure it, but now it seems even more like torture. She knows it is because of him. He has filled her days, and now she can't go back to that lonely life again. So she desires to stay with him, even if he is the one who makes her feel lonely the most. Back to serious matters, Estelle tells him she has picked her targets already. All she has to do is approach them now. The man she is talking to isn't listening to that. Instead, he commands her to come over. He doesn't wait for her to act and grabs her waist, pulling her to sit on his lap. While our girl is shocked, he tells her it is so they can look at the list together. Look at what list? Estelle is so nervous she can't even move, and that silly man has the mind to ask her why. He of course takes the moment to tease her and tells her she seems to be begging for his touch. When he starts biting her ears, Estelle knows she has to speak up. She explains she is just afraid he will do something strange to her again. Well girl, he's already biting those ears. Satael, who has been caught red-handed, has no choice but to let her go. Our female lead immediately escapes to the other side of the table. I don't know how she plans to read from there though. Satael is done teasing her, and they start looking at the list. He sees someone he finds interesting, but Estelle refuses. That person is Ashelin's man, Raishin Reboff. He might have been born a concubine's son, but the boy was ambitious. He was so good in martial arts that Ashelon soon added him into their knightly order, even though he had a low status. The idea that the boy would abandon his master, Ashelon, is very slim. Satael doesn't think so. According to this list, Raishin's mother was actually a slave brought from the deserts. Estelle is surprised to hear this. She is even more stunned when she discovers that Raishin's mother came to the capital the same time her mother Ilyana did. Satael knows what she is thinking and tells her the boy might also have Devaris blood. Estelle is excited. There is a banquet coming up soon. Ayla's birthday celebration usually lasts for a week. She is sure Raishin will attend for at least a day or two. That is enough chance to approach him. But she also isn't sure. Now that the crown prince is so sick, will they be able to hold the banquet? Before she meets Raishin, however, she tells Satael there is someone she really wants to meet. The Grand Scholar, Hessian Selver. Hessian has no idea he will be receiving visitors soon. Instead, he and his team are busy studying the ice castle. They discovered something amazing. The heavy snow they have been experiencing didn't come from the skies. It all came from within the ice castle. Hessian is amazed to hear this and asks that the news be told to the emperor immediately. Hessian is tired, but his assistant has even more bad news for him. The crown prince's sickness has gotten worse. The assistant thinks there is a link between the prince's sickness and the ice castle. Hessian is about to die from overthinking. He really needs to clear his head. He and his team decide to take a break and go for a walk. Sadly, he might be tired, but those hot-blooded youths behind him are not. Even till now, they are still arguing. Some say the castle appeared due to a dimension rift. Another says it must have a master. When they start to fight, Hessian decides this is his time to sneak off. And so he runs away. Sadly, there is no peace for him. Not only does he lose his way, he stumbles across two people. Hessian is sure the woman is a high-ranking noble judging from her clothes. But why then does she have only one attendant? The people Hessian is running from have caught up with him, and just like him, they are also lost. Really. Like master-like servants. They decide to ask the pretty lady approaching them for directions. Of course, that pretty lady is our Estelle. She smiles as she greets the scholars. Hessian is surprised. Most nobles have no interest in their Tower of Truth and even ignore them. So how does this lady, who looks like she just came of age, know the proper greetings for the scholars? The scholars are so shocked by this beautiful lady, they forget to greet, until their master pushes their heads down. It's not like he is any better, though. He keeps apologizing, but the lady doesn't seem offended. Instead, she asks if he is Hessian Selver, the Grand Scholar and leader of the Tower of Truth. Hessian is surprised she is able to figure out his identity. He is curious to know how she did it. Estelle reminds him only the head of the tower is allowed to use golden threads in his robes. Estelle knows how to hook her target and starts by praising him, saying his article on the ice castle was very interesting. She tells him she has read all his works, and even starts to discuss what he wrote in his last paper. Hessian is very pleased, wondering where this educated lady came from. Suddenly, his heart is filled with desire. If he takes this girl as his disciple and teaches her for 5 years, she would surely become his top top student. Now Hessian eyes are really twinkling like stars. The tower already has many female scholars, so this girl won't have any trouble fitting in. Who knows? One day, she might even be able to take over his title of Grand Scholar. Estelle offers to guide them back and ask them to follow her. It must be because she is pretty. Because why are these men praising her so much just for leading them back? Hessian is talking about how to repay her already. Thankfully, Estelle is normal and doesn't ask him to repay her with his body. She only has one request. She is sure he came to the capital because of the ice castle, and that is something she has been interested in for years. What she wants is to be able to visit him and discuss the research together. Hessian couldn't have been happier. Look, he is about to use his whole body to shout yes. He tells Estelle she is welcome to visit him anytime, starting from right now. He is about to kidnap her into his tower. Only now does he remember he doesn't know her name and asks. In his mind, he is praying that she isn't of low birth. That way she can enter their tower of truth without any issues. Sir, you should first ask if your tower is worthy of her entering. After all, she is nobody else but Estelle de Hartan, the Princess of Hartan. Quick, someone save those men. Their souls are about to leave their bodies. After almost causing the death of those poor scholars, Estelle is back in her palace. She didn't decide to just visit the Tower of Truth randomly. Right now, the whole continent is unstable, especially with the ice castle appearance and the crown prince's sickness. If the Tower of Truth were to release a statement at this moment, everything would go up in flames. Estelle has been interested in the tower for a long time. Though the royals and nobles look down on them because of their lower status, they also can't do without them. After all, their research is the reason why the continent can develop so well. Estelle is determined to pull this group to her side. Only then can she have more forces outside the palace. Just imagining this makes Estelle very happy. Satael, who has been watching her smiling to herself for some while, can't take it any longer and asks what is going on. Estelle is nervous. She had been trying to win the scholar's favor, so carrying a straight face wouldn't help. However, she misunderstands and thinks Satael doesn't like it, immediately apologizing. Before she can think more nonsense, Satael quickly stops her. He was just thinking about how eager the scholars were. If she weren't a princess, perhaps by now those people would have kidnapped her into their tower. Estelle also finds it a bit disappointing. She seems really sad too. Honestly, if she were just an ordinary girl and not a princess, if she bore no thoughts of revenge, then being a scholar wouldn't have been bad. She is still feeling sad when she hears Satael saying she used to love books. He mentions how she would walk around when she was much younger, carrying those books bigger than her whole body. Estelle is shocked to hear this. What did he just say? How did he know? But before she can ask him, he insists they return to the palace. However, what awaits them at home is far worse. Seeing a large crowd gathered outside her palace, Estelle is at first confused until she discovers they are from the Empress's palace. After a brief greeting, they tell her their purpose. The queen wants to see Satael. Estelle is shocked. For the first time, she doesn't back down and demands to know why. But the servants can't answer. Seeing this, Estelle is sure even them know how rude and disgusting this behavior is. But Estelle isn't having it anymore. She steps forward and tells them. She might be a powerless princess, but for the queen to arrogantly send knights into her palace and order them to drag off her attendant without her approval is too much. Fine. Since the queen wants to see them so much, she is also going to come along and pay her respects to the woman today. Look at that devilish smile. However, Estelle notices something strange. They seem to be going in the direction of the crown prince's palace. Once they arrive, the maid announces their arrival and tells the queen Estelle came along. For a mother who is said to be so busy taking care of her sick son on his sickbed, the queen is dressed so beautifully. Even Estelle finds it funny, until she doesn't. Wait, don't tell her this queen dressed up just because of Satael? The queen isn't bothered by Estelle's presence. After acting surprised to see her, she tells her she has something to discuss with her attendant. Therefore, Estelle, a princess, I repeat, a princess, should step outside. Estelle is no longer the simple girl she once was. She immediately approaches the queen, asking why she ordered her servants to take away her personal attendant without even informing her. If the attendant had done something wrong, then the matter should be discussed with her first and then handled according to the laws of the place. The queen is irritated seeing this and glares at Estelle. Our girl doesn't back down and warns the queen to tell her first if there is a problem. These are her people. Frustrated, the queen claims Satael committed a crime, but our girl is smart and asks what crime he supposedly committed. The queen tells her she doesn't need to know, but Estelle insists. She is Satael's master after all. The queen can't take it anymore and yells at Estelle to stop. For the first time, the mean woman looks weak as she confesses that Satael didn't commit any crime. She just wants to speak to him, and so we see the arrogant woman beg Estelle for once, even swearing on her name. She promises to return him safely to our girl. Estelle is totally not at ease. Even after leaving the two, her mind is filled with thoughts of them. She really didn't want to leave them alone. Of course, it's not because she is afraid the queen would harm him. What a joke. She is sure no one in the whole continent could harm Satael. What is making her worried is the strange way the queen was looking at Satael. I know, girl. She looked like she was about to eat your man up. Estelle knows nothing would happen if Satael rejects the woman, but the problem is, would he? She thought she had begun to understand that man, but now she is no longer sure. Before she can leave, a maid comes up to her and suggests she visits the crown prince since she is already here. Estelle agrees to go. Of course, it is not because she is worried about that scum. but she just wants to see how far their prank on him has gone. After all, it might be something she will have to face one day. The first thing Estelle notices when she enters is how hot the room is. To maintain this temperature, they must have used up nearly all the firewood and coal in the royal storage. The maid tells her the prince just fell asleep. Looking at him sleeping, Estelle finds he doesn't seem warm. In fact, there is a chilling cold coming from him. Estelle is a bit scared now. This seemingly small prank Satael pulled, done without much thought. It is enough to control the life and death of humans. The sleeping prince wakes up suddenly and sits up in surprise when he sees Estelle. He wasn't expecting her to come and see him. She tells him she was just checking on him. The prince says if news came that he died, he is sure she will be the happiest to hear it. He asks her to come closer and pulls her to sit next to him. He warns her to pray for his recovery, because if he dies, he will request for her to be buried with him as his final wish. He knows his mother will do anything to honor her son's last wish. Who is this sick weirdo? Estelle gets nervous and tells him she is really praying for his recovery, because if he disappears, she will also be kicked out of the palace. The prince is pleased with her answer and tells her she is right. It is only because of him that she is still able to live in this palace. So, she has to stop entertaining those useless thoughts. It seems Estelle's fears are confirmed. There is nothing innocent about the queen's request for Satael. As soon as Estelle leaves, the queen starts fantasizing about Satael pleasuring her. Seeing they are alone, she quickly asks him to move closer, ready to start devouring him. However, the man himself isn't very welcoming. As soon as he approaches, Satael tells the queen she has only two choices. 1. He tells her the cure for her son's illness. 2. She can get down on her knees and lick his foot, right now. Ayla knows this is all wrong. First, the crown prince's disease is something even the best doctors couldn't cure. So how could a mere servant boast of having a way to get rid of it? And even worse, this servant dares to ask the empress to lick his toes because she showed him a little bit of favor? Normally, Ayla would have had this ignorant and arrogant servant dragged out immediately, but her body refuses to obey. Instead, she finds herself standing up and kneeling before him. She is blushing so hard she can't even speak. She keeps stammering and staring at him. This is it. The man she has always dreamt of having is right before her eyes, close enough to reach if she stretches out her hand. And so, without a shred of dignity, the queen begs for it, not to mention his foot. Even if Satael asked her to lick his shoes, she is okay with it. All she desires is just a taste of him. What a finished woman. Over at the crown prince's room, Estelle is also facing her own problems. This one is in the form of an arrogant man who believes he is the only reason she is still hanging around in the palace. And although Estelle hates to admit it, the man is not wrong. After the death of her mother back then, if it wasn't for Ashelon throwing a tantrum and refusing to let her leave, the queen would have sold her off to some foreign noble. But that doesn't mean Ashelon did it out of good. He was just unwilling to part with his new toy, and so she was able to stay in the palace. But Estelle was never grateful for Ashelon's interference. The only reason he refused to let her go was so he could torment and play with her however he wanted. Not only did he chain her up like a pet, he would always beat her. With no one to help her in this cold palace, she could only endure it alone. Yet that same man expects her to be grateful and even warns her to know her place. Coming out of his room, her hands are red from how tightly he was holding her. While the maids hurry to find medicine, all she can think about is if Satael and Ayla are still together. She doesn't expect to see him waiting ahead for her. Just look at this man. Even a marble statue seems more alive than him. He always looks so good. Like nothing in the world is his concern. But just one look at her and everything changes. The man who seems like an iceberg finally starts to crack. And from that crack, different emotions start to show themselves. The demon suddenly smiles, all his attention focused on Estelle, and now she finally knows what she wants from him. She wants to become someone useful to him. Even if the whole world treats her like trash or a toy, she hopes this man will be the only exception. Estelle is still not calm. She doesn't believe Ayla would let Satael go so easily. As soon as they get back to her room, she starts asking him questions. She wants to know everything that happened. Satael denies anything happening and says the Empress only seemed to like him a bit too much. Estelle still thinks it is strange though. The queen didn't seem like herself today. Satael seems to know what she is thinking and asks if she really thinks he was the reason for the queen's strange behavior. Estelle doesn't hide it and tells him he is indeed capable of doing that. Satael refuses to take the blame though. He only planted the seed of desire in the queen's mind. However that seed grows is up to humans. Because the queen is too greedy, her desires are too great, more than even Satael expected. He also didn't plan for it to end up this way. Estelle warns him never to play his tricks on her. Satael laughs and tells her she is his master. As a loyal servant, he can never do such things. Estelle doesn't trust in this master-servant relationship though. Everything will change the moment Satael decides it. For some reason, this truth is very bitter for her to hear. Before she can sink into her sad bubble, her demon starts asking his own questions. Because of the smell of medicine on her, Satael guesses she went to see the crown prince. Estelle doesn't deny it. Satael isn't pleased and asks when she became friends with the crown prince, enough to visit him. Estelle stammers out her answer. She just wanted to confirm something. Her demon is very displeased. He grabs her and places her on his lap. He has always told her she is his, so why does she insist on always carrying the scent of others back to him? To him, that means only one thing. She wants to have another round with him. Estelle is shocked to hear those words. How did they come to this? Of course, Satael is just looking for another excuse to have fun with her. It is only through enough scolding that he finally lets her go. Estelle, however, has one request for him. He has to teach her how to cure the crown prince's illness. Then she can negotiate with the emperor. In the emperor's office, his subordinate has just informed him that everything has been prepared for the empress's birthday celebration. Hearing this just makes the king more tired. His plan was to use the banquet as a way of announcing the ice castle as a symbol of good luck. Then he would show off the power and might of his imperial family. However, now that his son Ashelon has fallen sick, everything is ruined. The only way to solve all these problems is for the crown prince to be cured. At this moment, the king expresses that he really needs a drink. He must really need that drink because for some reason he starts thinking about his daughter even though the thought of her makes him uncomfortable. All his actions, giving Estelle the royal family name even when she was just the child of a slave, recognizing her as royalty, everything was done for just one reason: to see her mother finally smile, even if it was just for a moment. However, till the end, all he got was her emotionless face. That woman was really cold-hearted, and because she couldn't adapt to the sudden cold of the north after her years of living under the burning sun, she soon fell greatly ill. But never once did she show any weakness. For the emperor, if Ilyana had just pretended to love him and submitted herself to him, he would have done everything for her. But their relationship was doomed to fail from the start. And so when Ilyana's daughter begged on her knees for him to save her mother, he ordered the child to be taken away. No matter how much Estelle begged, not even firewood was given to them. If he could go back to that time, Hastion is sure he wouldn't have made the same choices. Regret is all that fills the emperor now, but he has no time for that. There have been rumors that the Marchioness of Parsilia has become obsessed with his daughter. He doesn't trust the woman and wonders what she is up to this time. Suddenly, the person he has been asking about is said to be visiting him. The emperor quickly asks them to let her in, eager to hear what she wants to say. Upon seeing his daughter, the king wants to know what she has been up to. But what does Estelle want to tell him? That thanks to his neglect, she managed to wake up the demon of the ice castle? Since she can't say that, all she does is say everything has been fine. The king doesn't hide his curiosity and asks what is going on between her and the Marchioness of Parsilia. Estelle finds it funny. He is probably wondering why a powerful figure like the Marchioness would be associating with a nameless princess like her. She calmly says they are just exchanging social greetings. This emperor is too harsh as he suddenly asks Estelle why she is here. It can't be that she suddenly desires fatherly affection, right? Estelle doesn't waste time and tells the king she knows how to cure the crown prince's illness. However, it is certainly not for free. On the day of the empress's birthday, she will have to be recognized as a princess. The emperor doesn't understand, so she explains. On that day, she wants to stand side by side with the royal family and not hide away in the corner like a rat. The king suddenly compliments her beauty, saying she looks more like her mother now. He questions her. Why does she have the cure? Except she was the one who caused the illness in the first place? Estelle doesn't argue. She simply asks him if he believes she has the ability to create a sickness even the best doctors can't cure. The king knows the ability of his daughter and drops that topic. No matter where the cure comes from, he doesn't care as far as his son is healed. He suddenly asks Estelle if she is interested in the throne. Our girl refuses and says she dares not have such thoughts. The king warns her not to cause any trouble. It was, after all, too noisy when he brought her mother back. He can't handle another mess of that sort. Just thinking about it gives him a headache. Hearing this vile man speak about her mother almost drives Estelle mad. If he had sent a doctor or medicine back then, or even shown concern with a word or two, her mother would never have died so painfully. But she knows she has to control her temper. The time isn't right yet. The king accepts the deal. After all, even if she is of low status and class, she will always remain a Hartan. Our girl is having a dream. She is back to the night her mother died. A younger Estelle begs her mother not to leave, but Ilyana promises they will always be together, as long as they are both thinking of each other. The last thing her mother says is, "I love you." Estelle wakes up crying. It was all just a dream. Just as she is sobbing, Satael appears beside her. His heart aches seeing her crying so hard and he wants to know why. Estelle explains she just dreamt of her mother passing away while Satael cleans her tears. Estelle doesn't know if it is because she met Hastion, but it is a memory she really doesn't want to remember. "Don't cry," Satael suddenly tells her. Estelle tells him how glad she is that he is by her side. Sometimes his presence feels like that of an angel. She knows he is not, but to her, he is her angel. Satael desires to hear more. Her praise has stirred up his feelings and he suddenly leans down to kiss her. Satael is such a sweetheart. That kiss wasn't only to calm Estelle's mind down, but also to clear her previous memory of the dream. When she wakes the next morning, our female lead can tell she had a strange dream, but she can't recall it clearly. Instead, another dream stands out more vividly. In the dream, she was crying, scared of being alone, and Satael held and comforted her. She even seemed to have called him her angel in that dream. That couldn't have actually happened last night, right? When Estelle is done freaking out, she gets up from bed and approaches Satael. Seeing the man doesn't say anything strange, she is convinced it was all a dream. "Sorry, baby, it isn't. Back to serious matters." After she spoke with the king, Satael gave her a red pearl. All she had to do was grind it into powder and feed it to the crown prince, and his illness would be cured. It didn't take long before word came that Ashelon had been healed. Delighted, the emperor sent Estelle a letter promising to keep his own side of the deal. Estelle is pleased with the results. All she had wanted all along was the emperor's attention. Now that Ashelon is well, the plans for the queen's birthday banquet can finally proceed. Since it is supposed to last for a week, nobles were already deciding which day they would show up. People rushed to find out when the people they wanted to form connections with would attend. Estelle is used to hiding in the corner during such events. She has always been excluded from everything. Imagine her shock when she sees the large flow of letters all sent to her palace. Only then does she realize her position is really changing. Currently, Estelle is regretting her decision. Sob. Like other nobles, she could choose to announce her attendance dates. But right now, she isn't in the position to do so. She can only reply to each letter personally. But can someone tell her why there are so many letters? She starts to worry if more letters will also come tomorrow. Finally, our girl can't take it anymore, and she slams the pen down. She's so tired. But there really is no peace for her. A maid suddenly rushes into her study, shouting that the Marchioness of Parsilia has arrived to see her. Looking at the noble woman who greets her politely, Estelle is about to respond when the woman suddenly turns into a rogue. Not only does she tease Estelle, telling her she couldn't resist coming to see her, she pulls the girl close and rubs her chest over hers. Vianne came today to prepare Estelle for the birthday banquet. They had already decided to do it together. At this point, Estelle can't even remember if she indeed said that. Our girl is sweating. Although she thought they would prepare together, she didn't expect the Marchioness to suddenly visit. Look, all her maids are gathered behind and staring at the woman with stars in their eyes. She can only chase those girls away by asking them to bring some tea. Vianne says she wanted to show how sincere she is, so she decided to come in person. She can't find her boss anywhere and asks Estelle about him. Hearing the girl calmly say she sent him to the library to fetch some books nearly gives Vianne a heart attack. Of course, she laughs at him. Estelle is really daring to send that demon lord on an errand. Estelle hasn't even told Vianne the worst of it. That man seems to take his job as her assistant very seriously. What he loves doing the most is dressing her up and brushing her hair. After that, running errands to the library is his next favorite activity. Well, maybe the demon lord loves the quiet environment? Who knows what is going on in his mind? It is only now that Estelle realizes how funny it is. Sending the owner of the ice castle to borrow books like the library? What a change. Vianne soon becomes clingy again. She holds Estelle's hand as she promises to make her the star of the event. Estelle just has to leave everything to her. To do that, she begs the princess to come to Moonchad. After all, it is impossible to bring those many dresses to the princess's palace. Just the thought of it has Estelle agreeing. But these happy events have made Estelle remember some sad memories. In the past, she never worried about what to wear to a banquet, not because anyone loved her, but because the queen would send over the most worn-out and outdated dresses directly. And all Estelle could do was sit in a corner of the banquet, wishing she could return to her palace. That has all passed through. She is still worried about the cute Roa and asks about him. She is afraid Sadel is still upset with the boy. Vianne is lost when she hears the question. She quickly makes up a story about Roa finding an old book and wanting to give it to Estelle soon. In another elegant mansion, Count Belvoir is having a hard time. He hasn't forgotten about the mysterious lady who made him an offer about the throne. But even after attending every banquet held by various noble families, visiting Moonchad, trying to gather information, all he has heard about her are just meaningless rumors. All he can do is wait for her to appear by herself. Suddenly, the door to his balcony opens, and a young boy appears in front of him. Belvoir is so shocked he drops his drink. He desperately asks who the boy is. How did he get in here? The child only smiles and jumps down, causing the count to fall to the floor. Our cute Roa says he has come to grant the man's wish and asks him not to be afraid. He approaches the count and tells him to say that thing he desires so much. As expected, Belvoir admits he wants the emperor's throne. Roa asks if that is all, and if he needs anything else. Sigh. Some people really have no fear of death. The greedy Belvoir says he wants the woman who told him to claim the throne. He wants our girl, guys. Suddenly, butterflies appear out of nowhere, circling around the two. A book appears in Roa's hands too, and he tells Belvoir the price for this deal is his body, soul, and everything he owns. The butterflies begin to bite him, taking his blood. But it seems Belvoir can't feel any pain, because his mind is filled with Roa words. Praising him, he can have everything he desires. The greedy man is hooked and lets his blood drop onto the book Roa is holding, and the deal has been sealed. Estelle is preparing for the banquet that would change her fate. However, it is quite hard. Why? It's all because of the picky Vianne. Nothing Estelle wears seems to please her. As a result, our girl goes to Moonchad almost every day. Yet Vianne isn't satisfied and makes her change dresses several times. It isn't until the day before the banquet that Vianne finally finds a dress that suits Estelle. Staring at the girl, she declares this banquet is going to be Estelle's coronation, the day the princess becomes the queen of high society. Estelle is pleased with her look and thanks Vianne. The woman doesn't need her thanks, though. She isn't the one who made Estelle this good. All she did was dress Estelle up. Besides, it isn't possible for someone to become a queen overnight. This isn't a storybook. Everything from dressing to manners to speech and even their gaze. A queen has to have all these things. And Estelle does. All Vianne did was make her shine even brighter than she already did. Just hearing these simple words makes our girl start to blush. It isn't her fault, though. Ever since her mother died, there has been no one complimenting her. No, That isn't correct. There is someone else, Satael. Estelle is horrified to find herself thinking of that man again. Vianne has no idea the princess is already in another world and wants to know who taught her manners. It looks different from their northern continent norms, but that is what makes it even more unique. Estelle reveals it was her mother. Vianne feels a bit awkward, but Estelle isn't bothered. Instead, something else is on her mind, the absence of the cute Roa. She questions Vianne about his whereabouts, but the lady says he is busy. Here it is again. Estelle is sure Vianne is just avoiding the topic. No matter how many times she visited Moonchad recently, she has never seen Roa even once. Vianne tries to change the topic, but Estelle insists on knowing the truth about Roa. It isn't like she is worried about him, though. She just doesn't want her deal with him to end. But then she actually starts to worry. After all, Aroa in his child form is no match for that great demon. Vianne pulls the princess closer to her. Looking into her eyes, she suddenly warns her. Trust no one, she tells the girl. Estelle is surprised and asks if she should be wary of even Vianne. The woman agrees. She advises her. She can use everyone around her, but she must never trust them. She tells Estelle that creatures like demons are far more dangerous than she thinks. Especially for someone like Estelle. Going back home, Estelle is a bit heartbroken, but she tries to console herself. It is, after all, because she has gotten closer to Vianne that the lady would warn her. Estelle tries to convince herself that getting close to demons wouldn't be good for her, but she actually feels lonely again. She had already begun to see them as friends. Estelle stops herself from thinking. She doesn't have time for such thoughts. Right now, what she has to do is prepare for Ayla's birthday banquet tomorrow. For the Harton royal family, the banquet might just be a way to show off their empire's strength. But to Estelle, this is her opportunity to reestablish her forgotten presence. Ayla's birthday party is always held for a week, but our girl decides to take Vianne's advice and only shows up for 2 days. That way, she will remain mysterious. 2 days is also enough for her to meet all her important targets. Drumroll. It is finally the day of the banquet. Seeing her reflection in the mirror, Estelle finds it funny. This is really an extravagant appearance for a princess whom everyone called abandoned. Our girl finally stands, and boy is she gorgeous. It is time to head to the banquet hall. While Estelle is taking her sweet time, someone else is about to die of anxiety. Vianne has been waiting for the princess to make her appearance. She is so nervous that she starts counting the crystals decorating the ceiling. When has she ever done something like that? Vianne tries to calm down, but just the thought of what that demon lord would do if she failed to do her task properly is enough to send her panicking again. All around her, people are also starting to talk, muttering about the princess's lateness. Some people try to defend her, saying she might be waiting for the empress to arrive so she wouldn't steal her light. Since Vianne is their leader, they turn to ask about her opinion. Vianne is too worried to answer them and just says she isn't sure. The girls don't give up and ask about the recent friendship between Vianne and Estelle. All of a sudden, everyone wants to talk to the princess and even asks if she holds tea parties. Vianne finds this so funny. How did these people suddenly become interested in the princess, whom they used to mock and call a desert girl? Really, humans are so cunning. There comes the sound of trumpets, and the crown prince suddenly comes down the stairs. Beside him is Enriha, the young lady of Count Fuer's family. Vianna is immediately bored and looks away. Since it is not the princess, then she isn't concerned. Vianne thinks it is funny since they found someone who looks just like the princess. But whether the girl resembles Estelle or not, it wouldn't matter when the princess herself appears. With Estelle wearing her masterpiece, Vianne is sure the girl would crush these other ladies. Vianne hears a sound and turns around. Estelle has finally arrived. Just as she predicted, the minute Estelle comes down the stairs, everywhere is silent and everyone is stunned. Too beautiful. Just too beautiful. Take my bow, my queen. Our female lead doesn't seem too bored by everyone's stare. She confidently walks over to Vianne and greets her. As soon as it is confirmed it is the princess, people around immediately crowd her and start praising her. But everything stops as the trumpet sounds again. The emperor and empress have arrived. But what is more stunning is when the emperor calls Estelle and tells her to come stand beside them. The king invites Estelle up to stand with him. Estelle isn't too touched. After all, this man could even bury her achievement of finding a cure for Ashelon and saving his life. The least he can do is keep his promise. Estelle is sure the king is trying to confirm and see if she has pulled anyone else into her camp besides the Marchioness. Looking at Ashelon beside her, he doesn't appear sick. At most, he only looks a little thinner. It is only then that she notices him standing next to Lady Enriha. Seeing the woman with the same hair and eyes standing next to the prince makes her feel very uneasy. She had heard rumors about a potential engagement between the two. Since there hasn't been a formal announcement, that means there is something Ashelon doesn't like about it. The emperor starts to give his speech, but no one is listening. Ayla, in particular, is wondering what her husband is planning now by bringing the princess to his side. She keeps glaring at Estelle, who knew that this wretched girl who has always been ignored would suddenly become the talk of high society. Her anger becomes worse seeing the Marchioness cheering on Estelle from below. Why did that cunning woman suddenly start helping the princess? The princess has slowly gotten out of her grasp. Before, she would have willingly worn the old clothes Ayala sent over without a word. But now with the Marchioness, the owner of Moonchad, behind her and backing her up, that disgusting girl has become much bolder. Now everyone is curious about the princess. wondering how she won the favor of the Marchioness. What angers the queen the most is that at her birthday banquet, it is that wretched girl who is receiving all the attention. The banquet has started and everyone else is dancing. Only Estelle stands in a corner, neglected. According to customs after the royal family, she is supposed to dance. No one can do so until she has begun dancing. But as always, nobody pays attention to these rules. But Estelle isn't too bothered. When Vianne approaches her and asks about it, she tells the woman that rushing into things can cause trouble. Her only goal tonight is to stand beside the emperor, and she has already achieved that. Seeing that she really isn't hurt, Vianne hugs her, then leaves. Watching people dance suddenly makes Estelle remember something. The first time she and Satel danced together. That was also her first dance with a partner. Estelle is a bit frustrated. Why does she keep thinking about this man? No matter how hard she tries to avoid it, his face keeps coming to her mind. But deep down, she secretly wishes he were here. He is the only one who has given her a pleasant memory of a banquet in her entire life. She doesn't know why, but Satel has not been around lately. Even this morning, he disappeared somewhere, and she never got to show him how she looked in her dress. Estelle feels a bit sad. She knows he might not be interested. After all, the banquet and dress are only special to her. But before she can continue with her sad thoughts, she sees the man standing opposite her. Why is he here? She thinks. Girl, you just begged for him to be. Even in his ordinary clothes, he is more handsome than those nobles covered in countless jewels. Seeing that no one seems to notice him, she is sure he must have used some kind of power. Indeed, he does as everything suddenly stops. Time seems to have frozen again as he approaches her. When he gets close, she asks why he is here, but he tells her it is only natural he should be. Estelle is pleased. She thought he wouldn't show up, but he did. He even says he knows this is an important moment for her. Estelle knows that for some like him who has eternal life, this is just a passing event to him. But yet, because it is important to her, he came to the banquet to celebrate this moment with her. Everything, just for her. And just like that day, he slowly bows and offers his hand for a first dance. How can Estelle refuse? It really feels like she has been hooked by this devil. Without thinking, she hurriedly grabs the hand he offered. The two are still having their lovey-dovey moment. Spare us single souls, please. All Estelle can see is Satel. Her eyes and heart have been captivated by him. When he compliments her, she blushes. This is really the look of a woman in love. Satel wants to know if she likes it. She always said attending a banquet was her wish. Hearing the word wish brings back some memories Estelle had already forgotten. After her mother died, our girl got pretty lonely. No one paid attention to her. And most days, she wouldn't get to say a single word to anyone. In order not to go crazy, she had to create an imaginary friend in her head. He was called Angel, and he had black wings and silver hair, and loved to stay in her favorite library. She was just a child. And doing that was her only refuge. Guys, I'm crying. Curse that royal family. To that friend, she told all her wishes. Her desire to fly in the sky and watch the royal palace from up there. Her desire to have a room full of pretty dresses no one can have, and another room for beautiful jewel necklaces. Her wish to attend a grand banquet wearing a beautiful dress and dance with a handsome prince. All were childish and naive wishes only a child could think of. After listing those wishes endlessly, she would always end with the same request. Just like the guardian angel in her book, she wished for her angel friend to stay by her side forever. She even made a pinky promise with him. Guys, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Back to the present, Estelle remembers those things with a smile. Her being able to endure her lonely childhood was thanks to that imaginary figure. She had completely forgotten about him until now. Well, girl, you seem to have forgotten someone else too. When he doesn't receive a response from her, Satel assumes she doesn't like the banquet. Estelle tells him it is okay, but it is just too quiet. With just a wave, Satel manages to control everyone and make them start dancing. It is weird for Estelle to see. Time hasn't resumed. Everyone is still frozen. Yet Satel is able to control over hundreds of people and make them start dancing, just like puppets. She finds it really disturbing and her good mood vanishes. She thinks they aren't different from these people. She might be his master now, but in the end, she will just become another puppet to him. When his interest in her finally faded, she will be no different from the people endlessly dancing here. But still, Estelle can't control her heart. Even with all this, she is still happy he came to find her. But maybe, if he hadn't been so kind to her, it would be easier for her to accept she is nothing to him. Satel immediately notices something is wrong. His little master's mood has changed. Seeing her looking sad and ignoring him, he does what he thinks will make her notice him, kissing her. Estelle is shocked by the sudden kiss. He is happy she is finally looking at him and Estelle blushes. But Satel isn't satisfied with just one taste and asks if he can kiss her again. Estelle can't resist him and gives him permission. The two start kissing desperately. Sorry guys, but do you remember the people you have frozen? Satel is becoming too greedy. After that kiss, he boldly tells Estelle he wants to do more than that. But since she went through so much effort to look pretty, it would be a crime for him to ruin everything. After kissing her, he is all set to leave. Estelle wants to know if he is going to keep watching her. Satael doesn't answer, but wants to know what she thinks. Would she like him to? Estelle wishes for a lot of things. If only time could just stop forever like this. If only this puppet show of a banquet can just go on endlessly, but unfortunately, they cannot. And so she turns down Satael's offer. Immediately, the people around start to move again, and Satael has disappeared. Estelle is a bit disappointed, so she refuses the offer of some ladies to chat with her. Instead, she decides to go out and get some fresh air. Outside, Estelle is trying to calm herself down, but while she just wants peace, it is obvious some people don't. Like now, the queen has come out to corner her. Seeing how mean and twisted the woman's face is, all I can say is, here comes trouble. Of course, the Empress didn't come outside to have a lovely conversation with Estelle. Seeing the look of jealousy in the woman's eyes, Estelle starts to tremble again. She had already promised herself before coming to the banquet hall not to tremble in front of Ayla, but that look in the woman's eyes is really scary. But why would the queen who has everything be jealous of her who has nothing? This is really confusing. Ayla asks why Estelle sent back the dress she prepared for her. Our girl tells her the Marchioness of Parsilia already gave her a new dress as a gift, so she had to wear it. Ayla says Estelle is very beautiful and asks if it was her maid who dressed her. It seems Estelle has finally figured out why the woman is angry. Everyone knows Satael is her personal attendant, and he is the one thing the queen can't have. She doesn't deny it. But while the maids might have helped her with today's dressing, the one who really prepared everything she is wearing right now is Satael. But she isn't stupid enough to tell the queen that. Turns out Ayla isn't as stupid as she looks. Oops, sorry. She immediately figures out that Satael was the one who dressed the princess. With no care for her image, she starts screaming and pulling Estelle's hair. She demands to know if Satael was the one who sent a maid to insult her on purpose. Poor Estelle really has no idea what the queen is talking about. Just then, a voice comes from behind. The crown prince arrives and immediately orders his mother to stop. Why would she do this? He separates both of them and tells his mother to calm down. He starts questioning Estelle, asking her to explain what is going on here. Didn't you see your mother attacking someone? Before she can speak, someone grabs her from behind. Satael appears and says he has been searching for her for a while now. He gently covers her with his suit. Seeing this makes Ashelon unhappy, and he asks how Satael got in. This is, after all, not a place low-ranking servants like him could enter. The ignorant queen, whose mind is only filled with desire, immediately starts talking about how Satael is here to see her, startling even her own son. Satael ignores the mumbling woman, ready to take Estelle back into the banquet hall. But would those two royal members allow them to go? Ashelon is even more annoyed seeing how Satael behaves. How dare he hold his head up in front of him, the crown prince? That arrogant fool. He seems to be no better than his mother as he immediately draws his sword and prepares to attack Satael. He asks if our male lead wants his head to be cut off right here. Sir, I think you should be worried about yourself. The sword grazes Satael, and blood starts dripping. Ashelon feels proud and even asks that the great demon lord kneel and bow his head to him. He wants Satael to apologize for his so-called rudeness. Estelle is scared and immediately rushes forward to stop him. She apologizes on Satael's behalf and says he is just a maid who hasn't been in the palace for long, so she hasn't had a chance to educate him. Girl, can you please remember this man is the demon lord? Stop degrading him. What a joke. Her pleas don't even work as Ashelon turns the blade on her. He tells her to step aside if she doesn't want to be the one losing her head. Before he can do anything, he makes a mistake by looking at Satael. All of a sudden, Ashelon turns the sword around and stabs himself. Thankfully, the wife protecting Satael is quick to cover Estelle's eyes so she doesn't see anything. He then pretends to apologize and says it is cold already. He asks Ashelon to forgive him. The next thing we see is Ashelon waking up in bed. For some reason, his head feels like it is going to split. Also, why is he in his bedroom? He was pretty sure he was just at his mother's birthday banquet. If the banquet hadn't been a must, he would have skipped it. He was already in a bad mood, and yet Estelle kept bothering him. The bothering was her looking beautiful in that dress, and even managing to stand next to the emperor. He just doesn't know if it was the Marchioness of Parsilia that helped her, or if his father had suddenly turned stupid. When he saw her going out alone to the balcony, he thought of following her and having a conversation with her, but after that, he cannot remember anything. It seems like someone purposely removed his memories. He immediately demands to see Ration. He really wants to know what happened at the banquet. Soon the man arrives. Ashelon looks up at him, but at the sight of the sword, he recovers his memories. Remembering how he stabbed himself with the sword, his stomach starts to hurt. It seems like from now on, just seeing a sword will trigger him and bring him pain. In frustration, he commands Ration to take the sword away. While Ashelon is busy panicking, Satael and Estelle have returned to their room. Estelle is a bit surprised since she was just on the balcony a moment ago. While she is confused, Satael offers to run her bath. Not only does she want to run it, but he also wants to bathe her. Estelle isn't comfortable with that. Not only has she always bathed alone, but she also feels very awkward around Satael right now. The man insists on bathing her. Not only is the blood hard to wash off, but he also needs to make sure she isn't injured anywhere else. With no choice, Estelle can only strip and get into the bathtub. She is a bit concerned about Satel, though, especially the huge wound on his neck. The man himself doesn't answer. The look on his face seems to tell her not to worry about unnecessary things. Estelle is feeling a bit guilty. She is surprised Satael is also able to get hurt. He explains he is currently in human form, so it is only natural for his body to also bleed. He is more concerned about Estelle, though, wondering if she was scared. More importantly, he wants to know why. Why was she so scared? After all, he only punished Ashelon according to what he deserves. Estelle insists Satael has already gone too far. Girl, that man literally wanted to kill someone? Thankfully, Satael is more rational and tells her he didn't even think he did enough. He isn't even angry that the man hurt him. Instead, he is mad that the man raised his sword at Estelle and even cut her hair. With a kiss, he tells her what he really wanted to do, to cut off Ashelon's head himself. Estelle has already convinced herself into sadness again. She thinks that what happened earlier was just Satel's annoyance at someone touching his property. Satel, who has no idea what she is thinking, is still promoting himself. Not only did he not kill Ashelon, he even helped him stitch back his injury and erase the memories of all those who were there. The only thing the man has not said is praise me. Estelle finds him a bit cute also. When she suddenly realizes what she is thinking, she is alarmed. Has she also gone mad like Ayla over this man? But still, she can't blame him though. After all, everything only happened because he was trying to protect her. She is startled when the man gets into the bathtub with her. He warns her not to protect him next time. It might be sweet, but the next time it happens, he might get really angry and then he will not be able to hold it in. Estelle promises she has heard and asks the man to let go of her. He doesn't listen though. Putting her down in the bed, it seems the couple is about to take things further. Soon, the two start to get intimate. Sigh. It seems really funny. How can a mighty god be brought down by something so simple? In Sadael's case, it is boredom. Cursed to live for eternity, everything around Sadael soon starts to lose its fun. Life became so dull that falling into a deep sleep seemed to be his only escape. He lived that dull, boring life until he met her. Looking at the sleeping girl beside him, he notices how fragile she is. Every time he is with her, it is like he is meeting her all over again. It feels new every time, so much so that he doesn't know how to handle it. Or is it because this is all new to him? He thought trying to read human emotions would be simple. Now he is even struggling with how to make them smile, because he lacks. He has always endured and given in to her, letting things play out the way she wants. Today was not supposed to be different, until a set of worthless animals decided to appear and cause trouble. Hugging his sweet girl, he enjoys her pleasant scent, until something occurs to him. Earlier at the banquet, Ashelon and Hastion had smelled completely different. Usually, people from the same bloodlines would have the same scent. Just like Hastion, Estelle's scent screams of Harten imperial blood. But it is different for Ashelon. On him, there was no trace of the imperial bloodline. Instead, his scent was closer to Count Belvoir's. It seems Satael has discovered the truth. Just like us, Satael finds it funny how the king had unknowingly raised another man's son, and was even so proud as to place him on the throne as the crown prince. Satael is already sure of what Hastion's reaction would be when he finds out. And this will give Estelle an advantage. But Sadael's finds it strange. He started Moonchad as a way to track human affairs and left it in Roa's care. Whenever he wakes up, Roa would give him a rundown of everything that had happened. So how come he didn't this time? Boss, your subordinate has betrayed you. Satael is not willing to make a move against Roa though. First, he thinks the boy just lets his emotions control him. After all, he is just a little fool. Second, he is worried that Estelle will fear him if he does anything to Roa. She might even hate him. So, for the sake of keeping the beauty by his side, he decides to leave Roa. Really. All his patience has been used up on this little master of his. The next day, rumors started to spread since the Empress and the Crown Prince skipped the second day of the banquet. Everyone finds it quite strange, especially since the Empress made a big deal, vowing to stay longer at her banquet this year, yet she just disappeared. Even worse, the Emperor hardly stayed for 10 minutes before he too left, and the Princess is only going to attend on the third day. The curious nobles all make up their minds to ask her about it tomorrow. The person they are all planning to question is just waking up from sleep. And boy, does she want to die. Not only is her throat dry, her whole body aches and she can't even move a muscle. That damned man. And yet he expects her to show up tomorrow. Pretending everything is fine, she is about to die. The man she is cursing appears with a tray of food. He tells her to forget about tomorrow and focus her energy on resting properly tonight. Just seeing him, Estelle is reminded of their steamy night and she starts blushing again. But this man, after last night, it seems like everything about her world has changed. Yet this man is still able to act indifferent. He offers her the tray of food. Estelle is a bit disappointed to see that all his passion seems to have vanished. She is busy feeling sorry for herself when Satael suddenly suggests feeding her. Estelle is about to die of shame. She rushes to refuse and insists on doing it herself. All through the meal, she keeps tormenting herself. Did last night mean nothing to him? She thought they had opened up to each other and everything was so real, but it seems it is all her imagination. But she can at least tell that something seems different. The third day of the banquet has arrived. This time, our girl is dressed in white, looking like an angel. Beyond that appearance, though, she is very sore, but at least she can still move around. The maids who are dressing her up seem to have fallen in love with her. I understand, girls. She really does look beautiful. Estelle is determined to meet Raishin today. She is worried, though, as she doesn't know if he will even be willing to talk to her when the time comes. But if he is really from Deveris, then he should have also guessed that she is also of Deveris blood. The fact that he has shown no plans of recognizing her means that something must be going on, and chances that it isn't a positive reason is very high. She is afraid their conversation might be bad. Before she can overthink again, her maid suddenly announces that the same Raishin is here to see her. Estelle is surprised as she didn't expect him to come to her first. The maid tells her Raishin seems to have something he needs to deliver, so he came in person. Estelle doesn't believe this. Raishin has a high position with servants under him. There is absolutely no reason for him to come here in person. It must all just be an excuse to meet her. She rushes to change and then goes to meet the knight. She finds him staring out the window at the ice castle. Immediately, he notices her. He turns around and kneels to greet her. The two exchange greetings and Estelle offers to have tea made for him. Raishin refuses. He didn't come here to drink. Besides, he is still on duty. It seems like he really came here just to deliver something to her as he immediately brings out a hairpin and hands it over to her. Estelle is surprised to see it. That was the hairpin she wore on the first day of the banquet. It fell off while Ayla was pulling on her hair. She is confused, though. Why did he find it and even go through the trouble of returning it by himself? She collects it from him and thanks him. Now it is time for the serious question. Why did he insist on coming to see her? Raishin doesn't answer and just keeps staring at her. The two stand there looking at each other. Estelle doesn't know why, but this man seems really familiar. Or is it because he looks like her mother? Since the man isn't willing to talk, Estelle decides to do the talking. She tells him she was already planning to speak with him during the banquet. There is something bothering her, and she's been meaning to ask him this. Raishin finally speaks and says he has something he also wants to confirm, which is why he decided to come see her himself. Looking straight at her, he tells her he already knew she was a Deveris. Estelle is shocked to hear him say that. She already had a feeling he knew, but she didn't expect him to be so blunt about it. Since he is being so direct, she also asks him if he is of Deveris bloodline. If he knew, why had he ignored her all this time? Why is he trying to act familiar with her now? Is it because he wants to know how she became so close with the Marchioness of Parsilia? Raishin tells her the truth. He has no wish to be involved with her. Instead, he really wants things to remain the way they have always been, for the two of them to act like they never knew each other. Estelle thinks that is all, but Raishin suddenly asks why she made a deal with the blue-eyed demon. Estelle is now even more shocked. How does he know? Did he see what happened that night on the balcony? But Estelle is sure Satael cleared everyone's memories about that night. So how does Raishin know? Estelle refuses to answer. What she didn't expect was Raishin's outburst. He suddenly yells at her for being reckless, asking what she was thinking. He demands that she break the contract immediately. Even a fool would know better than to make a contract with the demon. He grabs her shoulders and he asks her if she really understands how important the contract she has just signed is. He even dares to bring up her dead mother, asking if Estelle is not ashamed to face her. Estelle finally gets angry. She slaps his hands off and tells him she knew. She knew exactly what she was doing and the price she would have to pay. Raishin arrogantly says she is too young to understand anything, but Estelle sits him up. She asks him why. If the thought of her contract disgusted him so much, did he not try to stop her much sooner? He has been a knight of Ashelon for years now. There is no way he doesn't know what the imperial family is like. So when she was suffering and struggling, where was he? He clearly knew what she was going through. He knew that her mother was dying, that the crown prince had her crawling on the ground like an animal. So where was he then? And what gives him the courage to come back and question her? Raishin is speechless. He apologizes and tells her he indeed acted out of line, but that doesn't mean he has given up. He is determined to find a way to break the contract for her. Estelle has made up her mind, however. She refuses his offer and tells him she isn't willing to break the contract. Just like he said in the beginning, she will live her life as he wanted and act like they never knew each other. All he has to do is stay out of her business. Yes, girl. Once again, fangirl Vianne is here and all she does is praise the princess beauty. She can't stop talking about how good Estelle looks in her dress. Our girl thanks her and says the woman also looks lovely. Vianne reveals she spent a long time choosing it. After all, she wanted to match with Estelle today. God, the only thing missing are the love bubbles. However, Vianne notices that Estelle looks kind of sad today and wonders why. Estelle says she is fine, but Vianne is not having any excuses. Estelle feels sorry as today was supposed to be a happy day. Vianne isn't worried about that though. She has now taken on another duty, the task of making the princess smile. And so she brings out her spiderweb to tease the princess with. It works, and Estelle starts smiling. She says it might be because today is the last day, but she is feeling a bit nervous. She thanks Vianne for worrying about her. She has made up her mind to keep it a secret that Raishin knows about her contract with Satael. She doesn't know what Satael might do once he finds out. He might even kill Raishin. Once again, she starts her pity party. Maybe Raishin was actually not wrong. After all, no no sane person would make a contract with a demon, even more as the last surviving royal of the Devaris family. Maybe that was why Raishin was so angry, but she really didn't have a choice. She already had no hope left. If she had even the tiniest amount of hope, she would never have made the stupid choice of forming that contract. She suddenly asks Vianne if there is a way to break a contract with a demon. Vianne seems to misunderstand as she pulls Estelle close, trying to comfort her. Estelle quickly explains it was just a random thought. She was just curious. Vianne says there is a way, however, only Roa knows. Realizing she has just said the forbidden name, she stops talking and asks Estelle not to bring up this topic again, especially not in front of Satel. Estelle smiles and says she understands, but inside she is frustrated. It seems like there is really nowhere she can truly turn to. She might already know that, but the truth is really unbearable. Hessian Selver is panicking. It has been several days since the ice castle appeared, and he still has no information about it. The only thing he finds in the Imperial Library is a book talking about the history of Hartan, but he finds the story ridiculous. According to the story, the founder of the Hartan Empire entered an empty continent covered in snow and ice. There were no humans there, and he soon fell ill because of the harsh cold. Just as he was about to die, he stumbled upon the ice castle. Inside the castle lived a blue-eyed demon. The human, desperate to live, offered his body to the demon. In exchange, the demon lifted the ice castle into the sky and the snow ceased. Soon the ice melted, and a land where humans could live was created. Thus the founder established the Hartan Empire in the frozen land. Hessian is not impressed by the story. Besides, the official history books of their kingdom says the first emperor offered his soul to the gods to create a miracle, so how did it become a demon? But the scholar is really worried. Because they have almost no clue about the ice castle, he can't even afford to disregard an absurd story like this one. Even worse, after the banquet, the emperor is sure to come looking for answers. With no results to show, Hessian really wishes he can just run off and go hide in his tower. The frustrated scholar decides he has had enough and goes back to his room to rest for the day. As he walks through the palace halls, he meets an unexpected person. Hessian almost feels like cursing his luck. He stops to stare at the ice castle when he suddenly sees a ghost standing in front of him. He is so scared he ends up falling to the ground. However, it isn't a ghost. Looking up at the culprit who he had mistakenly bumped into, he is pleasantly surprised to see it is the princess's attendant. The last time he met the princess, he was so focused on stealing her into his tower, he never properly looked at her attendant. It is only now he notices how handsome this attendant really is. Suddenly, Hessian seems to see stars twinkling around the young man. But that is not enough to turn the scholar's heart. His heart belongs to the princess. And so he starts looking behind Sadael, eager to see if the princess is hidden behind him. Not seeing her, he doesn't give up and starts questioning Satael on when she would be free. Old man, get that blush off your face. He is even willing to ambush her and tell Satael to tell him the time she usually visits the Imperial Library so he could wait for her there. Our poor boy. Having to listen to another man planning to steal his girl. But he did not just appear in the middle of the night to scare Hessian into having a fall. Our male lead has come to ask Hessian about the Imperial Bloodline ceremony. Hessian is stunned to hear this. Just like the name suggests, it is a ceremony used to prove Imperial blood. It was once practiced by the Hartan Imperial family when women claiming to be pregnant for the Emperor appeared. When the child is born, this ceremony is used to confirm if the Emperor is really their father. To perform this ceremony, a special medicine that reacts to blood is used. However, because the medicine is very hard to make, the ceremony is rarely performed. Hessian says there is indeed a ceremony like that. However, there is no need for it among the current imperial family. It is only used when the emperor doesn't remember having a child. Now that Sadel is aware such a ceremony exists, he can start his plans. But first, he escorts the scholar back to his quarters. Along the way, the old man keeps complaining about his research on the ice castle, or lack of. Seriously, his research is going nowhere. And that damned castle, there is nothing they can do about it. Destroying it seems to be impossible. According to history books, one of the previous emperors attacked it with weapons, but it didn't even have the smallest damage. And because of the emperor's lie praising the castle as a good omen, it is even more impossible for them to attack it now. For Hussein, the best option would be to make the castle disappear again, or find something that really proves the ice castle is really a blessing from the gods. The poor man is about to die of worry while the real castle owner just walks innocently beside him. The only other option Hessian can think of is having the ice castle descend to the ground. Not only would it make people feel that the castle is safe, it would also be easier for research. But because it keeps floating in the sky, it makes everybody feel uneasy. Maybe the Demon Lord is feeling a bit guilty as he wonders if he should really bring the ice castle down to the ground. However, Hessian has no idea of his real identity and is simply frustrated by this young man. How does he expect them to move a castle floating in the sky? Already stressed by the boy's thoughts, the old man becomes even more frustrated when he sees the boy's clothing. In this cold, not only is the young man not wearing any coats, he even has his shirt half open. Hessian can't understand why, so he assumes the poor man is being mistreated and even wants to speak up for him. Seeing the young man smiling and looking so innocent, Hessian is sure he is correct. This poor boy. Just because he is so handsome, those other attendants must have become jealous and started bullying him. The scholar's paternal love is about to overflow. Sadael is playing his role as the innocent flower till the end and smilingly says he forgot to wear it. And there goes Hessian's fatherly love. Now he looks like he is staring at a monster, wondering how on earth anymore can dress like this in this cold. And it is even in the middle of the night when everywhere is freezing. The demon lord, who has now realized that not wearing a coat is strange, vows to always wear one. He thanks Hessian for this advice. The old man is surprised. Watching the young man leave, he decides he is a very strange fellow. The man Hessian has been desperate to avoid is busy working late into the night. The emperor is busy signing documents when somebody arrives to report that a rebellion has broken out. The emperor is not bothered and orders them to send more soldiers to deal with them. The king ruthlessly says it seems burning down an entire village and its occupants the last time wasn't enough of a lesson. The emperor is really wicked and cowardly. Why do I say that? You see, the main issue here starts from a place called Metatia. It is the midpoint and dividing line of each continent. Located at the border between continents, Metatia is an evil place. It is a vast forest which constantly shifts and changes its form, almost like it is a living being. Not only that, living inside are all sorts of strange, weird-looking animals. The whole place is like a maze. Only the most daring mercenaries or greedy merchants would attempt to pass through it, and most times, out of the 100% who pass through, only 1% would come out alive. This is where the king's wickedness shows. The villages close to the Metatea border would often suffer attacks from the strange creatures living in the forest. However, no matter how much they complained, the emperor would not do anything about it. As such, the villages could only rebel against the empire, and then the emperor would send his army to kill and destroy those villages. Imagine a king meant to protect, destroying his own kingdom. His excuse? It is cheaper to send the army to kill those villagers than for him to rebuild the walls protecting the villages from Metatea. Please, can we all burn this man? Or throw him into the Metatea forest? Once again, he plans to destroy those villages. He even goes further and asks that their heads be displayed on the streets as a warning. Before the attendant leaves, he announces that the empress has come to see him. The emperor is stunned. His wife not only skipped the grand banquet he had arranged for her, she also locked herself in the empress's palace for days. He wonders what she is here for now. However, he is truly shocked when he sees the woman. Who can tell him why his wife looks like she is suffering from a bad case of drug addiction? And she is indeed. Even in her husband's presence, Ayla keeps muttering about how he no longer comes to see her, not even in her dreams. Let me guess. She must be thinking about Satael. Hastian is irritated and asks if she came here to speak about dreams. But Ayla has made up her mind. With a twisted expression, she directly tells the emperor she wants the princess's attendant. Hastian has never been so frustrated. Hearing his own wife ask from a servant from the princess court, he finds it funny. Just because he let it slide when she had multiple lovers, even when she had that long affair with Count Belvoir, she thinks she now can come to his office and boldly request for a servant? Of course he didn't mind that she had several lovers. After all, he was also seeing different women at that time. But for the woman he thought was smart to say such nonsense about a servant without any shame, she must have lost her mind. The queen has no idea of what her husband is thinking, and even describes the servant for him. With no choice, Hastian promises to do his best, then tells her to leave. But however wicked the emperor might be, he is also a smart man. Seeing how obedient the queen became just because he gave a promise to help her get a servant from the princess, and seeing how she came to him for help when she could have personally just arranged everything by herself, it only leads to one conclusion. She doesn't want that man to hate her. The emperor finds that thought funny. How could she, the empress of a whole empire, be afraid of a servant hating her? He must have also lost his own mind too. But since he has already been noticing the princess's recent changes, he decides to keep an eye on this too. The master and servant duo who are being plotted against have no idea about this. Although the banquet is still ongoing, Estelle has no time to attend anymore. She is just too busy. Looking at the pile of letters and visit requests taller than the table before her, she is about to cry. And yet, she still has to go through the information Roa keeps sending her. Speaking about Roa, although she is concerned about the man, she still can't forget Vianne's warning not to trust the demons. But while she could stay away from the others, how does she deal with this demon lord who keeps coming into her room to bed her every few days? Just like now, he appears, and the two share a steamy session in the study, after which he carries her back to the bed. But the princess is very angry. She has no idea what made this demon lord upset now, making him to torture her this way. These past few days, he has been like a dog in heat. No matter the occasion, be it while drying her hair, or even in the middle of reviewing documents, he would just turn beastly. The culprit asks to bathe her and Estelle agrees. She is no longer shy like before. After the first night they slept together, she has been with him several times. She never rejected his advances because for some reason she also likes being with him. But still, even with all those passions and hot moments, something still seems to be missing. The princess can't help but feel that no matter how much of herself she has shown to Sadael, even down to her deepest, darkest secret, he never seems to be affected. Maybe that is why their relationship is still lacking. After dressing Estelle up, the two decide to go on a walk in the garden. However, while on their walk, they meet a suspicious person walking around their palace. Can someone explain why the emperor is behaving like a thief? Even Estelle finds him suspicious because it is strange for the emperor to be about at such a late hour. Plus, he just happens to be taking a walk in the princess's garden? Definitely suspicious. The emperor isn't bothered by what his daughter might think. Instead, his focus is on Satael as he asks the man to lift his head. Seeing the young man's blue eyes, the emperor is certain this is the person his wife was talking about. He suddenly asks Satael if he was the one who attended to the empress last night. Hearing the emperor accuse him of staying with the empress last night, Satael rushes to defend himself. What a joke. His only master, the princess, is right here. Hastion doesn't really believe him. He doesn't think his queen would suddenly act recklessly on her own. When Satael keeps denying, the king asks him if he is challenging him. Satael insists he doesn't know. Hastion, looking at the handsome face of the attendant, finally sees why the queen is losing her mind over him. Not only is Satael really beautiful, but he also doesn't show any hint of fear before the emperor. The king thinks he is really arrogant. He is, however, interested in knowing why Satael turned the empress down. It is, after all, a good thing to be the empress's favored lover. Why would Satael prefer to remain a lowly servant in the princess's palace? Estelle is already feeling bad hearing this, but Satael stands up for her. He apologizes and tells the king he is really satisfied with his current position. The emperor believes Satael is just pretending to be uninterested and demands he says the truth. When Satael insists he is really satisfied with his position, the king becomes confused. The demon lord proudly says the princess is the reason for his existence. Hearing this, Estelle starts blushing immediately. The emperor is also impressed by Satael's loyalty and starts laughing. Estelle is more embarrassed now. She is sure the king must have misunderstood this as Satael being in love with her and the reason for him wanting to stay. She blames Satael for making the king misunderstood, although he isn't wrong. If they hadn't made that contract, he would never have had a reason to live among humans in the first place. However, she still finds him shameless. The king asks Satael to leave because he wants to speak to the princess alone. To his surprise, the man doesn't move. It is only when Estelle agrees that he leaves. The king is amazed to see the servant who disobeyed him only listening to the princess's orders. So ridiculous. The father and daughter head into the palace to talk. Hastion is pleased to see the place still looking the same. Estelle must have taken good care of the place since nothing seems to have changed since his first love. Estelle's mother died. Estelle is amazed to hear the king say this. He practically abandoned the place with no support. It was Satael who brought the place back to life. She is even more disgusted when her father mentions the greenhouse her mother built. She knows the king is aware that Ayla tore it down after her mother died. Hearing him speak so casually now just makes her sick. The emperor tells Estelle why he is here today. The empress has requested for her servant. However, he doesn't want any trouble in the palace, so he tells Estelle it is up to her to handle it however she wants. Although he says he isn't going to interfere, he still advises Estelle to hand over her servant as a birthday gift to Empress. Seeing Estelle still silent, he asks if she doesn't want to give up the servant because he is now her bed companion. Estelle really isn't ready to let Satael go, especially not to Ayla. She tells the king that and asks what she can do in exchange. She is ready to pay any price just to keep Satael by her side. The king threatens Estelle and reminds her she is nothing. He warns her not to get ahead of herself just because she got some attention at the banquet. If she still wants to keep that princess title, she must learn how to obey. He doesn't stop there and mocks her, saying she has lowly blood. He warns her to behave like a member of the imperial family and stop letting her lowly status show more than this. Estelle knows what she has to do. To keep living in this cursed palace, she will have to send Satael straight to the Empress's palace, but she doesn't want to. Knowing her servant will never submit to Ayla, Estelle also doesn't want to see him serving someone else. She can't stand the thought. Not willing to lose her lover, Estelle volunteers to head to the Meditia border. She knows the border has been abandoned by the kingdom, but what choice does she have? Desperate to keep Satael, she is even willing to leave the palace. But she also has another plan. If she keeps staying in the palace, she won't be able to build her own forces and gather her powers. But if she leaves, she can bring in some external forces. The sly girl tries to convince the emperor she is doing it for his own good since nobody in the palace likes her presence. She is willing to leave them and go out to suppress the rebellion. The king mocks her, asking if she really thinks she can handle that. Estelle knows she must never let the man know her plans. She pretends to have no goals nor any intention of rebelling against the imperial family. She says she just wants to run away. Liar. For the second time since her mother's death, Estelle begs her father for something, to let her leave. The news of the princess's departure seems to have spread. While her father might feel nothing towards his daughter leaving, the same cannot be said for the crown prince. Look at him getting violent in front of the king as soon as he hears the news. The crown prince is about to lose his mind. He starts shouting at his father as soon as he enters the king's office, asking why he is sending his stepsister away. He tells the emperor this was never their plan. The emperor reminds his son he is no longer a kid. The days of needing the princess to be his toy are already over. With no other excuse to keep the princess, the crown prince leaves the emperor's office, but he is still troubled. Everyone, even the old nobles, seem eager to drive Estelle out of the palace as soon as possible. They have always hated having this noble princess with half the blood of a servant. Therefore, seeing a chance to send her away, they are very happy to take it. The prince tries to convince himself this is for his own good. but he is still so angry. He is on his way back to his palace when a servant stops him and tells him his mother wants to see him. Ashalon doesn't suspect anything and follows her into the Empress's palace. He is eager to see his mother since she has been quiet for a while. He wonders what she is planning now. However, when the maid leads him to his mother's bedroom instead of the visiting room, he begins to feel something is wrong. He is right, because when he opens the door, he doesn't see his mother but Count Belvoir, his mother's long-term partner. Everyone in the capital might be aware of the queen's affair with the man, but the prince is still surprised to see him here. Although they might be political allies because of the man's position as his mother's lover, they had never really gotten close. Most times, they would only exchange a few words whenever Belvoir visited the Empress's palace. Just like us, Ashalon is confused as to why the Count is here, especially when he says the Empress is asleep. But it seems they aren't the only ones here. Someone immediately steps out from behind the queen's bed. Belvoir says the person has been requesting to see the crown prince, so he arranged this meeting for the two men. Ashalon is sure the new man must be another one of his mother's lovers. He becomes angry at Belvoir for dragging him all the way here just to introduce him to the queen's lover. I don't know about him being the queen's lover, but that new man is definitely Roa, the man the princess has been worried about. Turns out her worry was in vain. Roa is definitely fine and even has the strength to laugh at the prince, who immediately feels disrespected by him. He tries threatening the demon, but Roa just tells the prince he is here to assist him. The ignorant prince doesn't know he is facing a demon and is still shouting, asking for someone to appear. He finally notices something is wrong when he hears how silent the whole palace is and starts panicking. Roa isn't bothered by the prince's drama. He tells the man to listen to him first. He says he came here because he and the prince share the same goal. Weakened at last, the prince is ready to hear what Roa has to say. Knowing how crazy Ashalon is about the princess, Roa is sure he doesn't want her to leave. Turns out he has come up with a plan on how to keep the princess trapped in the palace. Since both men don't want to see her leave, why don't they work together to keep her trapped forever with them? Ashalon is moved by this. You see, he has always had a weird desire that his stepsister remain by his side always. Even after he ascends the throne, until the day he breathes his last and is buried in his grave, she must be by his side. He even wants her to be buried with him in death, because that is his right. Since everything in this palace belongs to him, that means the princess does too. What a twisted man. Well, twisted men. Estelle is dealing with 3 twisted and crazy men. Because why will these 3 psychopaths decide that the best way to keep the princess with them will be to drag her down to the very bottom? All because of their desire for her. Estelle has no idea misfortune is coming her way. Well, more misfortune because she is just being informed now that her servant has finally been transferred to the Empress's residence. Satael requests for some alone time so he can tell Estelle goodbye. The girl herself refuses to speak to him, even when he promises not to stay for long as the Empress's attendant, and even when he promises to come after her when she leaves for the border, she doesn't say a word. Satael dresses her one more time, and then the great demon lord actually kneels before a woman. Seeing her avoiding him, he reminds her he would have to leave once the day breaks. Instead of spending these last moments together, is she really going to keep avoiding him like this? Satael doesn't want their last meeting to end this way. After reminding Estelle he will soon be leaving, he asks if she is going to spend the whole time ignoring him like this. But our girl is just heartbroken. She can't bear the thought of losing her man to the Empress. Even worse, this ignorant man doesn't seem bothered by it all. She asks him exactly this, how he feels about being separated from her. Satael finds it funny because the only way she can ever truly get away from him is if she leaves the northern continent entirely. No matter where she is, he will always be able to find her. Only by crossing the Metatia and fleeing to another continent will she be able to get rid of him. Oh boy, those words are going to bite you in the Our poor demon lord is still telling the princess sweet words, not knowing he just told his little wife how to escape from him in the future. Estelle is assured after Satael tells her the Empress's palace is nothing. Since he says he also wants to confirm something from there, her mind is totally at ease. Satael hugs her and asks her to endure it even if she gets lonely. She starts blushing and is about to deny it, but he promises to visit her often. Seeing how tightly she is holding him, he wants to know if she doesn't want him to leave. Truthfully, Estelle doesn't want him to go, but no matter how much she hates to, she has to agree eventually because this is his wish. Therefore, she tells him to do what he wants. The two share a kiss and a hug, and so our favorite couple are separated. The 2 mad men are still having a meeting. Of course, I'm talking about Roa and Count Belvoir. Right now, Roa is busy teaching Belvoir on the ways by which demons form a contract. No idea why he is doing that. In essence, for demons to survive, they either have to consume human souls or form contracts with people who have powerful desires. Only then can they have a stable physical body and use their powers freely. He doesn't even pretend in front of Belvoir, and directly tells him he is just a perfect pawn for a demon to use since he is consumed by too much desperation. Of course, after using him, it is only fitting to discard him. Unfortunately for Roa, the demon lord has caught on to his little games. Satael has found out about Roa's contract with Belvoir and wonders why Roa would sign a contract with that man. He is eager to figure out what that little demon is planning behind his back. After all, Roa is not like other demons. Since he has absorbed Satael's power, he is probably stronger than most. Therefore, Satael is going to have to keep a closer eye on him. Our male lead didn't just come out to the Empress's palace to have fun. He has his own reasons for heading to the Empress's palace. He has barely arrived at her palace when the Empress herself comes out to welcome him. Not only is she dressed beautifully, she also has makeup on. She really looks different from the half-dead queen we saw last episode. However, all her joy fades when Satael asks her if she wants him to hate her. After chasing all the servants away, she is about to apologize when suddenly, blue roses suddenly appear and bind her tightly. However, through it all, Ayla still has that dumb, lost-in-love look, even blushing. Satael is disgusted by how low she has fallen. He doesn't understand why humans are always so weak to their own desires. Just a little temptation and a little whispers and they destroy themselves. Well, there is an exception. He thinks of a particular girl who is different from the rest. No matter what, she never falls apart. Instead, it is him who first did. She would agree with him and accept his desires, but never for once did she desire him first. Satael is dissatisfied with this, especially since there was once a time her whole life revolved around him alone. You see, the imaginary angel friend Estelle thought she had was not so imaginary after all. Satael was that friend. Used to her chasing after him, he is desperate to feel that again, and even maliciously wonders if he should make her feel that same loneliness she once felt. Maybe then, she would once again cling to him like before. Remembering how she asked him to do what he pleased, he has made up his mind to do just that. The rumors about the princess going to the Meditia border began to spread, and most people ridiculed Estelle. Some said she had been trying to use Marchioness Parcilia as a backing, while others assumed she had been banished by the emperor after angering him. The person they are talking about is having a meeting with her father. The emperor assures her she isn't going to do much at the border. She is just going there to be a symbolic figure, so she has no need to feel too burdened. Of course, since the emperor is such a show-off, a large departure ceremony is going to be held in front of the palace. Both the capital's nobles and citizens will witness it. Estelle has no intention of arguing with the king about anything. Not even when he asks about the Marchioness does she complain. Since the king is pretending to be worried about their close friendship being broken, she tells him she will keep in touch with the Marchioness through letters. Once she is alone, however, the princess shows her vulnerable side. She is about to talk to Satael when she remembers he is already gone. Seeing only a maid behind her, she is heartbroken and turns to leave. With her man no longer by her side, Estelle is feeling all sorts of ways. But just before she dies of depression, a friend sneaks in to see her. It is none other than Hessian Silver. Estelle is happy to meet the head of the Tower of Truth again. Hearing the man say he is here to report about the ice castle to the emperor, Estelle is excited, thinking there must be new results. Hessian disappoints her and reveals there is nothing yet. Just like her, Estelle knows the man must be in a difficult position. The king doesn't really want the truth. All he wants is a story from the Tower of Truth that he can use to convince the citizens the ice castle is safe and not dangerous. Seeing the old scholar about to turn into a stalk of grass from worrying too much, Estelle feels a little bit bad. After all, the ice castle appeared because of her, but there is no reason for her to say anything. Instead, it would be better for her if the castle keeps causing unrest in the kingdom. And so, she can only comfort the scholar by promising to visit him and hear more about his research. Please, can someone slap the blush off this old man's face? He looks like a girl in love, but there can't be peace around the princess for too long. Someone comes along to cause a little trouble for Estelle. Empress Ayla is here to mock Estelle and show off the fact Satael is now with her. The couple pretend not to see each other as Estelle only speaks to the Empress. Empress Ayla is going to see the Emperor. She is eager to mock Estelle, mentioning her departure to Meditia. She pretends to be upset and mockingly says she would be sad to see the princess leave the palace. We would have believed her if she wasn't smiling so widely. Estelle is not ready to indulge the Empress in her childish acts, but the woman doesn't stop. She is desperate to humiliate Estelle. Thinking Hessian is Estelle's new servant, she calls him too old to function and advises Estelle to be more careful while choosing an attendant. Estelle knows the Empress is just trying to humiliate her using such rude remarks. She reveals Hessian's identity. He is the Grand Scholar and the Master of the Tower of Truth. Estelle has noticed something strange, though. Ayla might have been bold before, but she has never been this reckless. She seems to have changed ever since the birthday banquet. Done mocking her stepdaughter, the Empress decides to leave with her people. Estelle isn't bothered by the woman's words, but more by the fact that Satael didn't even look at her once during the whole conversation, and now he is leaving. Although she is sad, she still has to apologize to Hessian on behalf of the Empress. The scholar is quick to assure her everything is fine. He believes the princess's concern for him is more than enough. Deep inside, he is actually grateful to see the princess apologize to a commoner like him. Seeing the princess still looking sad, he starts panicking. He tries to cheer her up and gives her a special pass that grants access into the tower. No matter if he is there or not, She will be able to visit the tower anytime. The two praise themselves. Estelle says she doesn't deserve such a gift, while the old scholar insists there isn't a person more fitting to visit the Tower of Truth than her. Seeing how sincere the man is in inviting her, she gives in and promises to visit his tower soon. The two are enjoying their conversation. What they don't know is that upstairs, a certain jealous demon lord is watching them, and he clearly isn't happy. Estelle has no idea her demon lord is now jealous. She is feeling very pleased with Hessian's gift and can't stop looking at it. She needs to relax, so she decides to visit the Imperial Library. The library is the only place she feels safe in this huge palace. Seeing the different attitudes the librarians have for her now, she finds it funny but also very troublesome. Back then, anytime she visits the library, there would be people mocking her and glaring at her for no reason. Now all they do is bow to her wherever she goes, which is just as worse. But our girl isn't the type to keep thinking of the past or holding grudges, so she leaves them. She goes to her favorite spot in the library, a hidden dark corner. She is happy just reading her books and enjoying the scent of old paper only found in libraries. It just brings her peace. What she doesn't notice is someone watching her from behind a bookshelf. She eventually hears a sound, but when she looks back, no one is there. But our female protagonist is very sure she saw a person's shadow just now. She keeps looking around, but the person has snuck up from behind her. Before she can do anything, he suddenly grabs her and pushes her down, nearly giving her a heart attack. Staring at the proud face of Satael, Estelle wishes she can kick this man away. She is surprised to see him because she saw the Empress returning to her palace. Turns out he sneaked away to come and see her, but that doesn't mean she has forgiven him for ignoring her. She tries to push him away, but the man stops her and warns her to be quiet lest they get caught. He says she doesn't look too happy to see him and she doesn't argue, just telling him to move away from her. Satael is more concerned about the necklace around her neck. It makes him so jealous, he suddenly starts kissing Estelle right there. While our female lead is confused, Satael has managed to pull the jewel off her. He wants to know why she accepted Hessian's gift. Our poor girl is so amazed by his handsome face, she can't even give a full sentence. When she doesn't answer, Satael assumes she is planning to run off to the Tower of Truth. Estelle is not a pushover, and she reminds him it has nothing to do with him. Satael isn't happy to hear that, and this time he really seizes Estelle's necklace. He doesn't listen when she tries to get it back. Instead, he is more focused on getting intimate with her right there and now. Unable to bear it any longer, Estelle forcefully pushes him away for the first time. Satael is surprised by this, but his jealousy is about to kill him. Estelle finally tells him the necklace is a pass into the tower. And yes, she plans to go as soon as she has the chance. Satael is eager to do some things not suitable for children, but Estelle is not in the mood. She is worried about her reputation. No matter how hidden, this place is still a public library. The starving Satael doesn't wait for her protests and immediately kisses her. The two are both red in the face when the kiss finally ends. But Satael doesn't plan to just stop. Now Estelle is amazed by how shameless he is. Such a sneaky guy. No wonder people who make a deal with the demon always meet a miserable end. Satael isn't done with her yet and wants to know if she missed him, but Estelle isn't going to fall for this demon's seduction. She pushes the hungry man away and, looking at her messed up clothes, wonders how she is going to go back like this. She doesn't forget to collect her necklace back. Even though the demon tries to act dumb, seeing her stern and serious face, he has no choice but to return the token to her. But he is extremely unwilling. As if eager to make amends, he tells her Vianne is already preparing the dress she will wear for the departure ceremony. Estelle is surprised to hear this name again. She really hasn't seen the female demon in a long time. These days, the woman always seems to be busy. Estelle wishes she can have a chance to hang out with the woman before she leaves for Meditea. Satael is concerned about his little lover and asks what she came to the library for. Estelle feels resentful as she tells him her plan was to rest for a while, but a certain someone just ruined it for her. She also warns Satael not to try anything reckless here. She has been coming here since she was a child, so this place is almost sacred to her. She glares at the man who almost made her violate her special place. Seeing how he smiles like an innocent little child, she can't stay angry with him. Satael wants to know what she means by a special place. Hearing her say she always came here to read books after her mother died, the demon is dissatisfied. He wants to hear Estelle talk about the time they spent together in this place while they were younger. When he keeps asking, she finally admits she made up some imaginary friends to play with. Seeing Satael smiling so much, she has no idea why he would be so happy. She is sure he must be making fun of her. What our female lead doesn't know is that her imaginary friend was actually Satael. So, while she thinks it is embarrassing to have created imaginary friends to play with, he doesn't find it embarrassing. Instead, the demon wants to hear her talk about that imaginary friend. You narcissist. You just want to hear her praise you. Estelle thinks he is acting very strange. Why is this cold, boring man, who is always indifferent to everything else, suddenly interested in her imaginary friend? But she still falls into his trap. Although her memory about that time is a bit unclear, she knows the friend she imagined was an angel, just like the ones you see in fairy tale picture books, or the kind little children imagine. Estelle truly can't remember. She doesn't know if he had wings or not, but he was very beautiful. Satael tells her it might not really be an angel. Even if it was, It was a bad angel who abandoned her. So why did she like that angel so much? Estelle isn't happy to hear him insult the angel she imagined. For Estelle, that angel never abandoned her. She just grew tired of the angel, and so stopped imagining it. Satael tells her the angel itself must have been very disappointed because Estelle was the one to abandon it first. Estelle tells him it doesn't matter since everything was just her imagination. Satael can't tell her the truth, and so he just agrees with her. However, Estelle can notice his strangeness. He is suddenly upset, and even his smile looks sad. She orders him to return to the Empress's palace, and when he asks about her, she dismisses him and says she can take care of herself. Satael suddenly can't take it anymore and tells her she is too stubborn. She has never listened to him, not when she was young and even more now that she has grown. Estelle is shocked to hear these words, but before she can question him, he suddenly disappears. Seeing that he is gone, she seems a little sad he didn't say a proper goodbye. Returning back to her palace, it suddenly feels so cold to her now. She really wishes the departure time could come already. She really wants her man back. For some reason, she misses his cold touch today. It might not have warmed her, but it was still the best thing for her. Over at the Empress's palace, she is busy destroying everything in her room. She can't understand why, after managing to steal Satael from the princess, she still can't enjoy his warm embrace. Although she is eager to forcefully take the servant, she is afraid of him hating her, and so she can do nothing. Desperate for some help, she begs someone or something to help her, and her prayers seem to have been answered. A figure suddenly appears in her room. She mistakes him for Satael at first, but it turns out to be Roa. When the Crown Prince and Count Belvoir arrive, Roa has already bedded the Empress. He doesn't even feel any shame sleeping with Belvoir's partner or being seen by her son, not like the son is concerned about his mother. He is only focused on the news Roa gave him, that Estelle might be a Deveress. He finds it hard to believe, but Roa assures him that it can't be faked. And besides, Ashlon already has one Deveress by his side, so he should know these things best. Ashlon is terrified that the man knows his deepest secret. Roa isn't concerned with that, however. All he needs is for Ashlon to perform well at the departure ceremony. As long as the men all follow his lead, everyone would get what they desire. Once the men leave, however, Roa finally shows some weakness. He is only using half the power Satael gave him, and yet his body is already weak. He still can't handle the power, but he knows he has to leave before Satael gets back. Before he can escape, he runs into someone, Marchioness Vianne. Roa is happy to see her, but before he can greet her, she does so first, by giving him a very hard slap. Go girl. She doesn't even feel pity seeing his cheek turn red. She is sure Roa must be out of his mind. She doesn't understand why he is doing this. They all know it is impossible for any of them to ever win against Satael. So why is Roa going against him? She begs the other demon to come back to his senses and give up. However, Roa asks her if she knows what Satael feels for the princess. Because he has received some of Satael's power, he can practically feel the demon lord's emotions. Everything Satael feels, he can feel it also. Maybe that is why his own emotions are so messed up and he is going crazy. All he knows is that he wants the princess so badly. It is so bad that he feels he will die if he can't have her. Since he also wants to live, he has to do everything to get her. He can't control himself. Vianne can do nothing about these stubborn men and so goes to present the princess's departure ceremony dress to her. As usually, Estelle loves everything Vianne makes and praises the woman, making her blush. But Vianne also feels bad seeing this kind and sweet girl. She feels even more guilty when the princess keeps talking about Roa and how she wouldn't get to see him before leaving. Estelle is grateful to Roa for all the information he sent. That was the reason she was bold enough to suggest going to the borderlands. Estelle might want to meet Ria, but Vianne is determined to keep the two far away from each other. She tells Estelle Roa is busy and says she would greet him on the princess's behalf. Vianne can't control herself and tells Estelle not to keep meeting with Roa anymore. That is the only warning she can give Estelle. She gives the princess her blessings and then leaves. Estelle has started a new habit recently, taking a walk close to the Empress's palace, hoping to see Satael from afar. Once again, goes there, but she still doesn't see him. She is a bit worried about him. Ayla has been holed up in her palace, and as a result, she hasn't seen Satael even once. She has no idea what is going on. Vianne's words are also bothering her too. Estelle is so busy thinking, she doesn't notice someone coming up behind her until he gets near. Startled, she turns around to see Count Belvoir. However, who can tell her why he is looking at her like that? It's almost like he wants to eat her up. Pun intended. Estelle is afraid he might have found out her secret identity as the masked woman. Well, she can't be more wrong. The Count seems really weird today. Not only is he not arrogant, he even begs Estelle to spare some time to speak to him. He begs her to take a short walk with him. As they walk, the female lead has to mention how bad the Count looks. She is worried about him because he was absent during the Queen's birthday banquet. Her simple question makes the man fall apart. Estelle expects Belvoir to bring up the necklace, but the man suddenly starts talking about how much he desires the throne. Estelle is shocked to hear the Count say this. Although no one is around, it is still a risk saying something like this inside the palace. This isn't something a smart person like the Count would do, just like Ayla. Everyone seems to be abnormal these days. The Count is still talking. He tells Estelle he is really regretful. Ever since he met a strange man, everything has just changed. He is no longer himself. He might have desired the throne and the princess, but he never intended to go this far or get it this way. Desperate, he grabs the princess and begs her to believe him. He wants her to know it isn't his fault, but is all because of that strange man. He can't take it any longer, so he came today to warn her. Before he can say anything, a demon suddenly appears. Seeing the child appear, Estelle is startled. However, the Count's reaction is even more strange. He directly runs away. Now Estelle is suspicious. Why would the Count run away so quickly when he saw Roa? Plus, for some reason, she feels uneasy around Roa. She asks him if he knows Count Belvoir, but the crafty demon lies. He says the Count was probably scared just like normal humans would be. He says the princess is the strange one here. She must have gotten used to Satael's aura, and that is why she is no longer afraid of demons. Estelle is a bit afraid when she looks at Roa. He looks just like Count Belvoir did. However, the look is gone so quickly, she thinks she must have imagined it. Roa says he came to wish her well on her journey to the borderlands. Hearing him say that, Estelle assumes she must have imagined his strange look. There's no way Roa can be that kind of person. She also prays he gets what he desires. Roa tells her what he desires is somehow hard to get, although he knows it is impossible to get it and he should just give up. He just can't seem to stop even though he knows it would be better to let it go. Estelle tells him she believes in him. As long as he wants to, he can actually do it. Roa blushes when he hears this and thanks her for believing in him. Before leaving, he promises to always be by her side. He reminds her to call him if something dangerous happens. He will protect her. Far from reassuring Estelle, it just makes her scared. That bad feeling is back. What did he mean by dangerous? Vianne is reporting to Satael. She says what is really bothering her, Roa's behavior. Satael, however, warns her not to do anything reckless. He already knows what is going on, but plans to observe for now. The day of the departure ceremony is finally here, but Estelle still has no peace of mind. She keeps worrying about what Count Belvoir was trying to tell her that day. But no matter how many letters she sent since then, he never replied to anyone. She decides to ignore such thoughts and focus on the ceremony going on today. When a maid announces that everyone from the capital has gathered together, Estelle steps out. She thinks today is going to be an extraordinary day, and baby, you are right about that. Estelle is a bit excited. Today she will finally be leaving the Imperial Palace, this prison where she spent her whole life. Our female lead arrives at the venue and sees everybody is already gathered there. As she passes by her stepbrother, the wicked man says he will bring her down to a position lower than a princess. Estelle doesn't listen to him, but that is her first mistake. She continues to walk past him and faces the crowd cheering for her. The ceremony as the king talks about the rebellion going on at the borderlands. To stop this rebellion, he has personally appointed his own daughter to oversee it. He calls Estelle forward to take her vows. Behind them, nobody notices Ashelon looking crazy. The king is just about to appoint Estelle as the commander of the army when Ashelon suddenly steps forward. Just as Roa taught him, he destroys the whole ceremony. He exposes Estelle's biggest secret, the truth about her identity. He tells everyone the princess is actually from the Deveris tribe. Estelle is shocked to hear him say this and wonders how he found out. Ashelon doesn't stop there and says Estelle's mother was a Deveris. Sending a half-human like Estelle to the people already suffering under these creatures is like an insult. He reminds the king why the Deveris were such a sought-after tribe. Their blood is able to cure any sickness. Sending Estelle to fight a war is just wasting such a precious resource. To reveal the truth, he draws his sword and attacks Estelle right there. Our female lead is not his match and soon gets injured. As her blood drops to the ground, it comes with a special sweet smell. It is clearly not the smell of a human's blood. The citizens are shocked. Ashelon seems to have gone crazy. He grabs Estelle and tells her she should get ready to live in the underground chambers of the Imperial Palace. Ashelon tells Estelle to be prepared to live a new life trapped under the Imperial Palace. He tells her the princess title never fit her. It is better for her to be a slave, but Estelle suddenly slaps his hands away. She is not ready to give up. Looking at him with defiant eyes, she tells him that is not happening. Ashelon is annoyed and orders the guards to directly imprison her at once. Seeing the soldiers approaching, Estelle closes her eyes in fear. However, nothing seems to happen. When she opens her eyes, she sees someone protecting her. It is Lord Raishin. We are as shocked as Estelle is, but there was no time to waste as the knight orders her to run away now. Ashelon is annoyed to see his faithful servant betraying him, but the knight is ready to defend Estelle till the end. But no matter how strong he is, Estelle knows their situation is hopeless. She is injured and he can't possibly fight so many guards alone. She suddenly remembers Roa's promise to always be by her side. Recalling how he asked her to call his name when she is in trouble, she immediately opens her mouth and screams his name at once. Except it isn't Roa she calls. When the demon lord appears, the whole place seems to have frozen. Seeing his beloved bleeding so much, Satael is very angry. Estelle knows she is safe now and complains, asking why he took so long. He says he got tired of playing servant, making her annoyed. The answer clearly doesn't match the question. A man in black cloak suddenly approaches and Satael calls out to him. Hearing the name Roa, Estelle is shocked. But it turns out Satael is correct. It is really Roa. Estelle finally realizes how Ashelon found out her secret. It was Roa who told him. Satael thinks Roa is very bold to have set up such a big play just to achieve what he wants, but he is sorry to disappoint the boy. Roa boldly say that was his plan. He knows Satael also has limits to what he can do in the human realm, so that is why he was unrestrained. But he thought too lowly of Satael's feelings for Estelle. Roa seems to suddenly understand this and asks Satael if he is really planning to cross the line. Satael finds it funny because who can stop him if he decides to do it? Roa tries to talk about rules, but Satael reminds him, who created those rules? He tells Roa he is really still naive. Suddenly, blue roses appear and wrap around Roa, trapping him. Satael turns to Estelle and tells her not to run away or be scared. The ice castle, which has been hanging up in the sky, suddenly moves. The citizens are all amazed, looking up at it, until it suddenly comes crashing down to the ground. Everybody is scared and runs away. Satael says this is their punishment for failing to recognize their rightful master. Turning to his lover, Satael asks her to prove she is not scared of him by coming along with him. Looking up at him, Estelle doesn't take his hand, but instead wraps her hands around him. Satael is happy and asks her to rate his performance. He thinks he deserves to be called an angel. Estelle is already feeling dizzy and weak, so she can't reply to this narcissist guy. Seeing that she has lost a lot of blood, Satael quickly leans down to lick her injury. In no time, it is healed up. Now feeling quite better, she tells Satael he was no angel. Instead, he was more like a demon. Satael is admiring his girl who faints after scolding him when someone calls him. It is Roa who is upset to see how much Satael is interfering with the human world. Satael doesn't hesitate to tighten the vines around Roa, reminding him to show some respect. He tells Roa this is his first and last chance. The younger demon should always know. Satael can take his life whenever he wants to. It seems Ashlon hasn't realized who he is facing. He jumps in front of Satael and orders him to stop and put Estelle down. His soldiers are smarter than him, it seems, as they hold him back from doing something dangerous. Satael directly exposes Ashlon and mentions his feelings for Estelle. He tells Ashlon he is too late since Estelle is now his. Every single strand of her hair, down to her body, all belong to Satael. At that moment, the abandoned empress comes out to make her presence known. She begs Satael not to leave her behind, but no matter how hard she begs, the man doesn't look back. It is the soldiers who have to restrain both mother and son. Indeed, this imperial family is a mess. The emperor himself is in shock. He finally realizes Satael is the blue-eyed demon, the master of the ice castle. Satael says he wants to give him a gift and asks if he ever doubts if his son doesn't carry the heart and blood. No matter how confused the king is after then, Satael doesn't explain further, leaving the man frustrated. That day, the rumors spread throughout the empire. The blue-eyed demon had returned and leveled his ice castle to the ground. He directly crushed the imperial palace in front of everyone in the square. Everybody is excited to see that the blue-eyed demon they thought was a legend actually exists. Soon, the news of the demon lord's existence drowned out all the rumors of Estelle being a Deveris. Instead, the entire northern continent was filled with rumors about the demon lord who vanished into the snow with the princess. But the story soon became strange. At first, it was all about how the demon made a contract with the princess and therefore brought calamity upon the empire because of his master. Soon, it turned into a story of twisted love between a princess and a demon. Not everybody believes those rumors, though. For example, the scholars of the Tower of Truth feel it is a disgrace to spread such rumors about the master of the castle. Plus, how could the princess be taken by a demon? Hessian warns his boys to stop talking and instead focus on packing. They have no time left. The other scholars are worried about the heavy snowfall. Since the ice castle came down, there has been continuous snowfall for 2 days. They can't leave in such weather. Of course, the scholars have already tried to research the ice castle. Although it remains at the heart of the capital, it is covered by a thick mist. No matter who enters, the person will just keep wandering around, losing all sense of direction until they end up exactly where they started. The scholars are worried about the missing princess. They want to know if the princess's attendant was really the blue-eyed demon. They all ask Hessian since he is the only one who ever spoke to the demon lord. Hessian says things are really complicated. Though Satael served at the princess palace for so long, no one ever sensed anything off about him. Even worse, now that he is gone, not a single soul in the palace can remember his name. The whole court was afraid when they realized that. It is like everybody's memories were all manipulated. Hessian tells his scholars to stop asking questions and to keep packing. The attendants don't understand why they have to leave, though. To them, it is better to stay in the palace and research about the ice castle. They don't want to walk away from knowledge. Hessian warns them not to involve themselves in the palace matters. Once the snow stops, they will all return to the Tower of Truth. If they stay here any longer, they will all die. He remembers the task the emperor gave him. After ordering Hessian and his scholars to do something about the castle, the emperor told him to perform the blood rite ceremony. Hessian is shocked to hear this, but the king orders him to do the test quietly without a single person knowing anything. Now remembering all these, Hessian is even more determined to run away. Remembering Satael also asking him this, he comes to a conclusion. Anyone involved with the demon in any way is doomed to a miserable end. He knows a bloodstorm will soon start in the palace, and to survive, he must leave the capital immediately. It seems the bloodstorm has already started because hidden underneath the imperial palace in an underground chamber, a man is being flogged with whips. It turns out to be Lord Ration. The couple who put the whole empire into turmoil don't seem as worried as the rest of the citizens. Instead, they are chilling on top of a tall building overlooking the whole empire. The only worry they seem to have is planning what they are going to do now. Estelle still wants to head to the Meditia border. Her goal was to gather allies there and then return to the capital, and she is not about to change it. She also wants to travel around the empire a little bit on the way. She wants to see what kind of place Hartan is, to get to know the land she is supposed to rule and the people that live there. The ever-doting Satel praises her decisions and proudly says she would be a good ruler. Estelle doubts she is because she made a pact with a demon. Satael, however, tells her he met someone like her a long time ago. The person paid the full price for what they wanted and till today is still known as a just and wise ruler. He sees no reason why Estelle can't also be the same. Estelle promises to also be a good ruler. Looking over the empire, she knows she won't be seeing the ice castle or the imperial palace for a long while. But before she leaves, there is just one person she wishes to see for the last time. Lying in an underground chamber and tied up, Lord Raishin is suffering from the Crown Prince's torture. The Mad Prince keeps telling him to speak and confess where Estelle has gone. Since the knight refuses to speak, the prince gets frustrated, insults him, and leaves in anger. Left alone, Raishin is tired. He is about to give up until he remembers the advice his mother gave him. She begged him never to give up and never to lose his pride as a Devaris. She was the shaman of the Devaris tribe, but unfortunately, she died. Before she died, she asked her son to send a message to the princess and tell the princess about her. Raishin always remembered that promise, but by the time he got to the palace, the last princess of Devaris, Ilyana, was already dead. Raishin knows he is a coward. Not only did he ignore Princess Estelle's pains when she was a child, he also justified his silence as protecting her. He even blamed her for making a pact with the demon when he knew it was despair that led her to do it. The truth was that he didn't want to face how powerless he was, and that was why he defended the princess during the departure ceremony. He wanted to atone for all his sins towards her, and it led him to an underground chamber. Raishin thinks it is a good way to die for someone like him. He doesn't expect someone to tell him he is wrong. Looking up, he is stunned to see the princess urging him not to give up. He wonders why she would come back for him, and she tells him she wants to repay the debt, and because he is also a fellow Devaris like her. Also, she is the only one left. The Hartons are not people she can call her family. For someone like her, an orphan, just knowing she still has a kin left is the same as having a family. And so this time she has come to ask him. She still remembers him saying last time that he wanted nothing to do with her. Today, she wants to know why. Freed from his chains, Raishin tells the princess he was a fool. The crown prince already knew of his identity as a Devaris. Estelle is also shocked as she notices needle-like marks on Raishin's body. Those are marks from repeated blood transfusions over a long period of time. It turns out the prince didn't just promote Raishin because he was a good knight, but because he had been using him as his personal blood bank over the years. That was why Ashalon's weak body was recovering so quickly. He was using Raishin's blood. Raishin reveals he was scared for the princess. He was afraid that if they got too close, the prince, who already knew his identity, might also suspect the princess. And then the truth about her being a Devaris would be discovered. But in the end, Ashalon still found out. Estelle can't explain, but she has one last thing she wants to ask Raishin, if he is willing to leave the palace with her. Raishin is stunned by this question, but quickly agrees. As long as the princess allows it, he will become her personal knight. And so the three people begin their journey traveling across the empire. A week after leaving the capital, they arrive at the Lothan region. Right after they escaped with Raishin, the capital was filled with wanted posters for him, and it began to spread rapidly. They had to travel as far away from the capital as possible. The three are camping in the bushes for now. Estelle is finally happy to see all the places she read about in books in real life. She can't wait to see the frozen lake that Lothan is famous for. Satel points out how excited she is, but she denies it. She says she is just curious about how they manage their territory. It really has nothing to do with the frozen lake at all. Inside, though, she is blushing as she wonders if Satael knew she wanted to come here in the first place. Raishin spoils her joy when he reminds her they will have to ride non-stop for 10 days to get to Lothan. Estelle tells him she is going to be fine as long as Satel is with her. Such love. Inside what seems to be an inn, two men are having a shouting match. One insists on sharing a story he heard from somewhere. The other keeps saying the man is disturbing him. The storyteller insists on sharing his interesting news. Before he can, three customers enter the inn covered in long cloaks. It is none other than the princess and her bodyguards. The three order some food and drinks, making the owner very happy. He doesn't care that they are all covered up. As long as he can make money off them, he doesn't mind. Bro hasn't had customers in a long while. The storyteller still insists on saying his story and starts talking about how the ice castle came down to the ground. Not only that, a demon from the ice castle appeared right in the middle of the capital. The other customers don't believe him, but he insists the story is true. The others want to know why the demon would suddenly do something so strange. The storyteller calls them unromantic and says it is because the demon fell in love with the princess. He became a servant to her love. The other customers who are forced to receive this display of love? In fact, where did these rose petals suddenly come from? The man is not done with his story and wants to fully describe the passionate love story between the princess and the demon. The real princess is trying to drink some water and almost chokes when she hears this story. She looks at the smiling Satael, who seems pleased to hear this story. He asks if the story is bothering her, but she says no. He asks instead if he should silence them before they eat. Estelle is about to die from anxiety. She begs this demon lord to just stay still and be obedient. Now that he isn't performing his attendant duties, he seems to have become bolder. Estelle doesn't want to cause unnecessary issues, but just then she hears the storyteller say the princess's disappearance must mean she ran away with the demon. Well, that isn't a lie. Only Ration seems affected, saying they are spoiling Estelle's name and ruining her honor. Estelle doesn't mind and tells him to calm down. Their food is served at that moment. After booking a room for later, they start to eat. Ration keeps worrying over everything, even afraid this meal is too modest for the princess to eat. Estelle tells him to stop worrying as she is okay with eating this. Before Satel came along, she often went hungry for days. There were even times she had to eat cold or stale food. She tries to eat, but a certain someone keeps staring at her. She finally remembers that Satael doesn't eat human food. He might only pretend to take a few bites. He looks at her and suddenly tells her to take her time. He, after all, likes the story he is hearing very much and doesn't want to leave soon. As if to prove his point, the storyteller says the princess and the demon fell in love. Hearing this, Estelle once again almost chokes on her food. If you're enjoying this so far, please comment part 2 below. This is really important as it helps with our engagement and helps us continue the story. Until next time, ciao.